Everton. I'm not a commie.
Calling all emos, computer programmers and blokes called Malcolm who still live with their mum.
Crikey, there must be more to life than this.
It's the revolutionary virtual human interface you can access without ever leaving your bedroom.
And what were you up to the other night? That's what I'd like to know.
How cool is that?
Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. The two mics, Parry and Graham, on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! Don't worry about the time, mate, when 150,000 penguins are at risk. The puffin will be in your back garden within years.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and it's time to say a very, very good morning at the start of another busy week for us, Cheltenham week, of course, to Mr Mike Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr Parry, and welcome back to London.
Yes, very good morning to you, Mike. I'm slightly under the weather. Got a very heavy cold.
You had a very heavy weekend by the looks of it.
Well, no, it wasn't that heavy. It was just busy, that was all. But this cold is debilitating to the extreme, but I'm not letting it get me down.
No, well, you didn't look as if you were too debilitated over the weekend up to Everton and back in the day.
Well,
quite an arduous journey,
It's quite arduous. I mean, the train leaves at 1 o'clock from Euston Station.
Right.
And, of course, kick-off is 5:30. Had to get up there and press the flesh a bit, you know what I mean?
Press the flesh?
Press the flesh.
How do you mean?
Renew contacts.
Oh, yeah. Did you see Amanda Holden?
I didn't actually, no.
Oh, right.
No.
I saw that you answered her tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
But she didn't reply.
I don't think she did, actually. No. I didn't check that one out. But,
I wonder why that was.
Well, I don't know. But I'll probably see her at Wembley, actually.
Do you
because that's next stop, of course, on Everton's
Now,
campaign.
presumably, I'm waiting for you to inform me about this. I'm assuming, because we had a date that weekend to go to Crystal Palace.
Yes.
As you know, we were always invited to Crystal Palace Everton.
That's right.
Where you attempt to sort of, shoulder me out of the way so that you can be in charge of the jamboree, the charity collection thing that they do.
Oh, the drum.
Yeah, the drum.
The drum. Yeah, the tombola.
Yeah, you invited me.
Yes.
We were both invited up the first year, and the second year you went and did it on your own.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Anyway, I'm assuming because that's the same weekend, and that game is now going to be off.
That game will now be off.
Right.
That game will be off, and that means it'll be a midweek game. Probably means we won't be able to attend because we have too many hours of preparation for this show.
Unless it's a Friday night, I suppose.
Well, if it's a Friday night, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Then
I thought there was meant to be a load of Friday night games this season, actually.
Well,
there haven't been that many, have there?
Who knows whether that'll be a possibility. But anyway, the schedule getting up to Goodison, of course, is 5:30 kick-off. And the last...
So you would have left your abode in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, what, about 10?
About 10:30.
Yeah.
About 10:30 in the morning. To get into town to meet my pal Dave from Sports Bar and Grill. Yeah. Who are hosting like Cheltenham nights all this week. So we had a very big sort of preparation weekend. But he decided to take a day out to follow Chelsea.
Why not? Yeah.
Which is his team.
Bit of a disappointment for him, I would imagine.
Bit of a disappointment for him. And I think, the energy sapping journey got to him on the way back and that kind of stuff.
What, do you mean he passed out on the train?
No. I'm not saying that for one moment. No, that's completely
There was
inaccurate.
an awful lot of Twitter action, I have to tell you.
Yes.
And I have to thank all of our listeners and the various people who follow us on Twitter for keeping me informed of your movements. It was most amusing.
Yes, well...
From the picture of you looking like a tramp outside the ground.
Well, no.
Trying to hail a cab.
That wasn't even outside the ground.
It was described as stopping the traffic.
No, what happened was, got outside the ground and a quick walk up Goodison Road to the park end, and then for some unknown
where
reason...
was Dave in the picture? Because it looked like you were there on your own.
Well, I was chasing cars and he was standing on the pavement.
Chasing cars?
Yes, because...
Well, hadn't you arranged to have a car take you back?
You can't. They can't get close enough to the ground. The police won't let them. So anyway, I got to the main carriageway, which goes back into Liverpool city centre, and the road's all closed for about, I would say, 300 or 400 yards. So I go walking along next to the cemetery, and I'm thinking, I don't know why this is happening, but we only had until 10 to 8 to get the train.
Right.
The last train back is at 48 minutes past 7. The game finished just before 7:30.
So 7:48's the last train?
Yes, 7:48's the last train.
You're lucky you made it then.
Very lucky you made it. We came out...
what sort of distance have you got to cover?
About 3.5, 4 miles.
Yeah.
Now Lukaku scored his second one on 82, I think, right?
Yeah.
Stayed till about 85, 86. I thought, this is now going to work.
Right.
I'm safe.
I have to say, there was a moment when that first goal went in,
Yeah.
I was like, well, let's not forget what Everton do,
Exactly.
generally speaking.
Exactly.
That's what I mean by the Porky Jigs
When
not
the
working.
second went in, then they were 2-0 up. That was the previous home game. We were 2-0 up against West Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
But anyway, so we felt then safe enough to go. And it was a nightmare. We got to the other end of the carriageway, and there was just a junction with a load of traffic. So I just had to do what I used to do as a reporter when you and I were on the road as young reporters. I just stood in the middle of the road and stopped all the cars. I just raised my left hand and the cars stopped.
Well, there was a cab driver who tweeted me to say you tried to get into his cab.
Well, his cab probably already had somebody in it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and anyway, each driver, I said, listen, mate, we've got to get to Lime Street, got a train back to London. Will you take us for 20 quid? About 3 or 4 people turned me down.
Quite right.
Eventually,
I wouldn't have taken you either.
Eventually, a car stopped, and I said, look, and they said, the guy said, I'm going home the other direction. I said, I'll give you 40 quid. So he took it.
Really?
So he got in his car for 40
quid. Did he tell you his
quid.
name? Do you want to give him a name check?
I don't know his name, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I was panic-stricken about missing the train.
Panic-stricken?
If I'd have missed the train, it would have meant staying overnight at the Crown Plaza, and it would have been an expensive affair because you have to buy your ticket new next day.
That's right, yeah, the ticket's no longer valid. What, even if it's first class?
Sorry?
Even if it's first class?
Even if it's first class, yeah. And so anyway, we got back to Lime Street in record time, I have to say.
Yeah.
And just about got on the train, and the rest was a joyous journey home.
Well, it was a joyous journey home,
Yes.
but there were a few other incidents I wanted to ask you about. Because, for example, on the way up, you tweeted out saying, this will be the only sherbet I have, a small glass of wine on the way.
Yes.
Well, that obviously wasn't the case, was it?
I had one other, I think, in the lounge at Goodison, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And what about the singing of When I'm 64?
Well, that was by popular demand. That was in the that was both in the lounge by popular demand.
Yeah.
You know, give us a verse. I was introduced to the lounge.
Were you?
And I said, it's great. It's a real Merseyside day here. You know, we're facing a London team, so let's get into the spirit of things. You know, so When I'm 64.
Yeah.
And then there was somebody on the train who'd been in the lounge who said, oh, Mike, can you do it again? So I did.
Well, I got a tweet from somebody who was on the train.
Right.
Who said, this is great, hilarious, Porky's singing When I'm 64.
Yes.
And nobody's joining in.
No, they were all joining in. It's just that the train makes a lot of noise and you couldn't hear the sound of the singing above the train.
And this was in first class?
Yes.
What a shocking and appalling statement of affairs. Have you never heard of, like, a quiet carriage?
Well, I don't think it wasn't the quiet carriage, that's for sure. Anyway, the quiet carriage only relates to telephones and things. It doesn't relate to...
you're allowed to sing in a quiet carriage? I had no idea.
Well, it doesn't relate to general social banter.
Really?
General social banter is acceptable.
Okay.
Particularly if you're kind of celebrating. I mean, I have to say, for every Everton fan on that train, there were 8 Chelsea
What were there so
fans.
many Everton fans doing on the train anyway?
Well, there's a lot of Everton fans in London. It's called ESCLA, Everton Supporters Club London Association. Most of them travel on coaches. They're so dedicated. I know a couple of them have not missed a game this season, home or away. But some of them, you know, when it's that sort of time on a Saturday, decide just to get on the train. So they do. It's the easiest way to get up and down to Liverpool.
I see.
And the trains are good. I mean, it's a Virgin train, and it was fine.
And did it have a sort of good bar car?
Maradon, I don't know. I wouldn't have visited that. So
There was a picture of you carrying 2 what looked like cans of beer.
Yeah, that was because I was using them as a pretend telephone to...
No, that was the picture I took the other week of you with the 2 Red Bull cans.
Oh, yeah, well, it's the same sort of thing. I was replicating that picture.
Oh, right. So where did you get those from?
Well, somebody else's table. You
just stole them?
No, I didn't steal them. I picked them up as a prop for the picture.
I see. Oh, right.
Somebody said, you know, what would you be doing when you get home, Porky? And I say, telling the world about Everton or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
So you got an answer for everything, haven't you?
Well, no, it hasn't got an answer on anything. It's just that everything is done for a reason. But, I mean, your attempts to make out that I was an out-of-control, bladderated slob
nothing to do with
during
me.
the course of the time I went up down to Everton.
With me. All I'm
cuts no mustard.
All I'm remarking upon is the running commentary that was going on Twitter.
Yes,
we actually had a hashtag called Plankwatch.
Oh, well, you know, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm quite happy to join in the banter and all that kind of stuff, but I think you'll find that there wasn't much cause for complaint.
Okay.
The other thing I need to tell you about...
Let's talk to Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy?
Who's called in from Liverpool. Hello, Jimmy.
Good evening, Mike.
Good evening.
Hi, Jimmy.
Is that the police warden, is it?
No, what, sorry?
Have you got a story for us, Jimmy?
I've got a story for you, right? Where I just saw the scene with this little police warden walking around with his hand up trying to get everyone's car.
Yeah, it was actually. I needed a lift back to Lime Street, Jimmy, because for some unknown reason...
You tried to get in my car, mate.
Say again.
I know you tried to get in my car. I had a fare in. And I kept saying to you, I've got a fare. You saying, I know, but just take me to Lime Street.
yeah, well, yeah.
Mike, I've never seen anyone so drunk in my life. Do you remember what the score was?
Let me think now. 3-0, was it?
Very hard.
I think you believe that as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if he could say, can you take me to Lime Street, Jimmy, he must have been all right.
Yeah, exactly. I could have climbed on the roof, maybe.
Tell you what, you nearly climbed on the roof.
Well, I was desperate, mate. We only had until 48 minutes past the hour for the train to leave Lime Street. So,
if it didn't have the third, I'd have took you.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, Jimmy, that's very kind of you, mate. Thank you very much
Jimmy.
indeed.
Thank you very much.
I hope you wait at Lime Street next time your train pulls in.
Yeah, maybe you can book him next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems like a nice chap.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, we've got a lot to talk about because since you and I last saw each other, Rafa Benitez has been installed at Newcastle.
Excuse me, just before we finish on Everton,
go on.
I think I should tell you, I also managed to make the prediction of predictions for the weekend.
Which was what?
I'll tell you right now.
Go on.
And in fact, I'm going to let you take a picture of this and put it out, okay?
Oh, thank you very much.
So here's my betting slip.
You're too kind.
Here's my betting slip, right? First, last, anytime goal scorer.
Yeah.
I had £5 for Lukaku to be the first scorer and £5 for Lukaku to be the last scorer.
Oh, right, that's pretty good.
And he was, in fact, the first and last.
Yes.
I had the same bet on Ross Barkley and the same bet on De La Feu, so they didn't return anything.
Yeah. You've seen the time.
Correct score... I had Everton to win 2-0 at 10-1.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then time of first goal, I put a fiver on 11-20 and a fiver on 21-30. My total stake was £50.
Right.
I paid that over. This morning I went to a high street shop of the same chain and picked up 169 quid.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. So you'll have to tell us how that all works out because it sounds complicated. Yeah. He is Mike Porky Parry. I'm Mike Graham. We're the two Mikes. Loads more coming next.
Tomorrow night from 7, massive Champions League football.
Full match commentary of Barcelona versus Arsenal.
Live on Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. We're going to be talking space coming up a little bit later on. Of course, it's another edition of Winners and Losers. Just to go with that song, Ross says, after a weekend on the bladderation train, Porky sounds terrible. Get well soon, sir.
Well, thank you.
Hashtag bladderator.
Well, it's very kind of you. It's not, in fact, the after effects of mass bladderation, because there wasn't any mass bladderation, to be honest. It is the effect of having a rather severe head cold or chest cold or
head
both.
Head cold
probably.
or chest cold, James says this, please, no more Everton talk on tonight's show. Might as well get the Porky siren out. Hashtag no more Everton. Well, we don't have to talk about Everton.
No, I totally agree with that.
As a Chelsea fan, I was dreading tonight's show, but it has to be said that so far Porky's been quite gracious in victory.
Well, I
think that's just he's not feeling very well.
No. Chelsea are a great team, and
they weren't very good on Saturday.
No, I agree with that, but they've had their problems this season. So Lukaku was the difference between the two teams. His first goal, I heard somebody rubbishing it early on.
It's a great goal. I mean, even I said it was a great goal.
All the defenders jumped out the way for him.
I mean, it did look as though
if he hadn't taken the defenders on, they'd have nothing to jump out of the way for, would they?
You would have hoped, I would imagine, that the challenges might have been a little bit more sort of
robust. I'm sorry, but you could say that a defender mesmerises an attacker mesmerises defenders, and they were clearly mesmerised. They didn't know what he was going to do.
It was one of those goals that looked like it was being done in slow motion.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was probably different when you were watching it live, but watching it on TV, it almost looked as if he was walking through.
I couldn't believe it when I was watching it live.
Then suddenly he was getting nearer and nearer and nearer. You thought he was going to score a goal here.
I totally agree. I thought, he's taking on another defender. Oh, don't take on another defender. Oh, he's taking on a defender. Oh, don't take on another defender. Oh, pass it to somebody. He said he was looking for Ross Barkley. And he just kept going around players trying to find Ross, and then in the end, bang, he just did it himself. So I thought it was terrific. But anyway, it has for some unknown reason, I have heard a view that it was, it wasn't much of a goal.
Really? I must admit, I haven't heard that
Chelsea defenders jumping out of the way. What a laugh.
But let's talk about Newcastle. Because, Newcastle. Since you and I were last here together, Rafa Benitez has been appointed very, very hastily, it seemed, because there were those who thought that McLaren would be left to see this game out against Leicester. But I mean, despite the fact that some Newcastle fans are saying, they played a lot better last night, they still lost. They still didn't get any points. Nil points.
I think Rafa's on a most remarkable deal, isn't he? I think he's on a deal whereby if Newcastle still go down, even under his guidance, he can cop out and leave, can't he?
Well, I mean, presumably...
So I think he's made it clear he's not going to manage in the Championship.
Yeah, because that was one of the reasons a lot of people thought he wouldn't go there. Yeah. But also, of course, I mean, even if they do go down, he's not going to get the blame, is he? They're going to say, you know, they were left in this horrendous position by Steve McLaren.
Well, what the managers normally say is, they say, when I got there, I couldn't believe the chaos inside the club. I couldn't believe how unfit the players were. I couldn't believe how demoralised they were. You know, I couldn't believe it was all too much. In the end, we only had 10 games to rescue it, and it didn't work, you know?
No, exactly right. So we shall see what happens. They've got Sunderland coming up next, of course, which is a bit of a
Well, you could almost say, you know, the winner of that one will survive and the loser might go down. Because I've always thought that Sam Allardyce is exactly the right man to bring in halfway through a season. Well, it wasn't halfway, was it? It was about a quarter of the way, wasn't it, when he came in, to try and rescue a team. And I think he still will. I still think Newcastle will go down because I think the fibre of the club has been smashed to pieces under Steve McLaren, and I think Villa and them and probably Norwich will go down.
Yeah, well, Norwich have suddenly found themselves right down in the mix, and then there's that big gap, isn't there, above Sunderland? So, I mean, all four of those teams are kind of marooned down at the bottom. Now, we've got lots of other things to talk about, but we've also got... an astronaut coming on a little bit later.
Yeah, I like talking to astronauts.
Life on Mars.
Like space cadets, don't we?
I don't know if you saw that, the rocket going up a few hours ago from Uzbekistan.
Yes, I did.
It's a joint Russian and European Space Agency venture.
Right.
I wondered if you had any inside knowledge of that, given your Russian connections.
No, I haven't got any Russian connections. All I do is I look at the world political situation, the geophysical political situation, and I work out what's going on. I see, for instance, if you keep up with the geopolitical problems in the Middle East, you'll see that Mr Putin has now decided to order the withdrawal of a large part of Russian forces from Syria because he thinks they've achieved their job, which is to bring stability to the country.
Yeah, you're not going to turn that into another praiseworthy thing for old Putin, are you?
No, I'm just stating the facts of what's been reported on the international wires, that's all. I have no view on it one way or the other because I don't know whether, you know, the Russian forces are doing positive things or whether their presence there is causing problems. It depends which side of the geopolitical argument you take.
OK. Yes. How about this one from Jim? It says, how dare anyone want to stifle Parry's right to sing and dance on our dull and lifeless trains?
Exactly. I should think you're absolutely right.
You didn't have one of those cheery train announcers, did you, by any chance?
No, I didn't have a cheery train announcer. I mean, you've got to remember, I do these things by invitation. I don't do them because I feel that, I have a captive audience or anything like that.
Well, if you start singing on the train to Cheltenham, I'll be walking out down the other direction.
I won't be, don't worry.
I don't want you doing any of that.
But I was asked 3 or 4 times whether I would give a rendition when I'm 64, and I refused. And then eventually I thought, all right, well, why not? So there we are.
So what did you do to recover on Sunday then? What happened on Sunday?
I didn't have to recover. I wasn't actually overtired or anything like that. And on Sunday, I had a very quiet day. I walked over the North Downs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You shouldn't really be in here spreading these germs.
I'm not spreading
But
germs.
we don't actually have a plan B if you, drop dead or if you're somehow unable to carry on.
And
I can't replicate you, I'm afraid.
And that's when my cold sort of burst into full...
Really?
Yeah, it sort of flourished a bit. I think I mentally, with mental strength to hold it off on Saturday because I didn't want to be unwell, travelling up and down to Goodison. And I think, honestly, it just mushroomed on Sunday and I've been laid a bit low since then. I've been in bed most of today, I have to say.
Have you?
It's been a bit unpleasant. Right. But anyway, there we are.
Well, I hope, too, that you're going to be OK for the rest of the week, because we've got a big day out on Friday.
We've got a big day out on Friday.
So you've got to get yourself into shape for that.
I'll be in shape for that, don't worry. Going down to Cheltenham, looking forward to it. Going to see our pals Hawksby and Jacobs.
Indeed, yeah.
And our pals Paddy Power.
Yes.
So that'll be great.
Yeah.
You have to say, Leicester are now so close to the title.
You're not going to cough all your way through the show.
No.
For heaven's sake. Have you not taken any medicine?
Yeah, I am, yeah. I'm taking those pills. Oh, I'll tell you, this is interesting.
Yeah, go on.
So I went into a chemist today, and I said, oh, hello. I said...
Why do you always have to give us these ridiculous details?
What do you mean?
Well, I went into a chemist today and I went, oh, hello.
Yeah, well, why
don't you just cut to the story?
And I said to the medicine man...
Apothecary?
Yeah, the apothecary. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the... what do you call them?
Apothecary?
No, there's called something
Pharmacist.
else. Pharmacist, that's it. I said...
Chemist?
Could I have, please, some Beecham's powders?
Uh-huh.
And this woman looked at me like I was speaking in Urdu.
Yeah, right. Because do they not make those anymore?
Well, I thought they did.
No, I don't know.
I thought they did. And she said, sort of...
It's Lemsip you want now, isn't it?
No, Lemsip never works for me. It has never worked for me, ever. So, I said I got the Beecham's powders, and I tried to explain that there were little wraps of sort of tissue paper with white powder in them.
Right.
Sounded like I was explaining some sort of, underhanded deal
she
here.
said, no, you've got to go down to the legal high shop and get some meow meow.
That's right.
Very popular.
Yeah. But in the end, I came out with a box full of capsules.
Capsules?
Yeah, capsules, yeah.
What, you mean those kind of strepsils or something?
No, the rubbery plastic capsules, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Capsules.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Capsules.
Because the Lemsip, I think it's a blinking nuisance. You have to boil up a kettle.
No, you can get a pill form now.
Well, yeah, the ones I've got are a similar sort of thing, but they're not Lemsip. I hate the lemon bit of Lemsip.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
I think they do a blackberry one now.
I think they do.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel like you're having a nice fruity drink. It's a medicine. It should taste like a medicine.
Well, you don't want to have a horrible thing that tastes horrible.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
should.
point
It
of
should be bitter to the taste.
Why?
Because psychologically and mentally, you then think it's doing you some good.
All right.
Well, you don't think psychologically and mentally that anything's doing you good if it tastes nice. Medicine should taste awful.
Yeah, but you don't normally drink anything that tastes of lemon, do you?
I do, yeah.
Do you? What do you drink? Well, like lemon squash.
Yes,
lemon
I do,
barley
yes.
water.
Yes, I do,
What
yeah.
are you,
Lemon
10?
barley water, yeah.
What are you, 10?
No.
Why do you drink that?
Well, what do you drink at home when you're feeling that you want to reliquidise?
I drink tea and I drink water.
Yeah, I drink a bit of tea, but I don't drink water. I drink lemon squash.
You don't drink enough water.
I like orange squash. I like apricot squash. I like apple and blackberry squash.
How many bottles of squash have you got in the house?
About five. Five. I like summer fruits squash.
Summer fruit
Yeah,
squash.
I like.
Dear me.
I like what's the other one I like, and also.
What did you eat on Saturday, by the way?
On Saturday?
Yeah.
Well, you got a full.
Did you eat like on the train?
Well, a bit. Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I had a sandwich on the train.
Yeah.
But when we got to Goodison, I was in the Alex Young Lounge.
And you had a proper lunch.
Oh, you get a 3-course meal with
Very
a steak.
nice.
It was lovely. It's excellent, actually. The whole day was excellent. Virgin trains are excellent. I love them. They're modern. They go up and down very nicely. No problem. What's the problem? Huh?
Unbelievable.
Why?
Virgin trains are very good. They're modern and they go up and down very well.
Yeah,
excellent.
Up and down to Liverpool and back.
Maybe they should teach southern trains how to run because they don't know how to do any of that. This is Talk Sport.
Get the job done on Talk Sport with Toolstation. Will Spain reign again?
And Spain are into the lead.
Are France in with a chance? Or will the Three Lions finally rule? Is the International League prepared to go head-to-head to lift the biggest prize in European football? Join Hawksby and Jacobs every Monday from 1 to find out which team can get the job done. You wait for Euro 2016 on Talk Sport with Toolstation. Low prices on top trade brands. Open late 7 days a week. Find your nearest branch at toolstation.com.
UEFA Champions League football live on Talk Sport.
Come on!
Kicking off tonight from 7 with full updates of Manchester City's clash with Dynamo Kiev.
It's a goal!
Tomorrow night from 7, full match commentary of Barcelona versus Arsenal.
What a goal!
UEFA Champions League football live on Talk Sport with Direct Line Van Insurance. For de facto 5-star rated van insurance, search Direct Line Van.
Sport. We are the Two Mics. Winners and losers coming up a little bit later on, of course. 5.5 to 4.5 at the moment is the score. And the games are running out, by the way. You've moved up into Predictor League, by the way. I just wanted to pass that on to you.
Oh, really?
You're sort of out of relegation. You're fourth from bottom now.
Yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Now, you recognise that piece of music, I presume.
That was Keith Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
Emerson, Lake and Palmer, yeah.
And what was that called?
Fanfare for the Common Man.
Yeah, that was his most famous, wasn't it?
It's their version of an Aaron Copland piece of classical music, which is actually called Fanfare for the Common Man.
Oh, what was it called when it was a proper piece of classical music?
Fanfare for the Common Man.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So he didn't rename it to something else?
No.
No, I see.
They just sort of made it into one of these big sort of, what you might call...
So just nicked somebody else's record
that wasn't
embellished it.
That wasn't all they did, but I mean, in a way, that's their most famous song.
Well, this guy, Emerson, he's dead.
He is.
And that's
a nice way of announcing it. Could you not be a little bit more kind of compassionate?
Well, no, sorry, we're paying...
This guy, Emerson, he's dead.
Well, we're paying tribute. We're paying tribute
to... Funny said tribute.
To a legendary rocker, OK?
Yes.
But what he did was, having read all the information, he treated keyboards in much the same way as Jimi Hendrix treated a guitar.
That's right, yeah.
i.e., recklessly violent in the use of it, stabbed it many times with a long
threw him around and all that
saber
sort of
knife type thing.
Saber knife?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like a curled knife, like a...
Well, like a Rambo knife.
Yeah, that's right, that kind of thing.
Sort of thing.
And
I've never heard saber knife.
And sometimes would boot the... what's it called? The keyboard over and just like smash it up a bit like Keith Moon did with his drums.
Yeah.
You know
it was very much that kind of era, wasn't it? Where, these kind of, not necessarily super groups, but basically, these very long albums, sort of triple albums, double albums, all this kind of thing, and massive long concerts.
No, that's absolutely right.
Did you ever have any Emerson, Lake and Palmer albums?
No, I didn't know anything about them much.
No.
I mean, all this keyboard stuff was foreign to me. Also, he invented, Phil Spector... sort of acquired the title as the man who invented the Wall of Sound.
That's right, yeah.
Well, apparently...
Well, he did, really, didn't he?
Well, yes, but apparently that came after he went to a concert because Keith Emerson had a machine 10 feet tall and used to take up the back of the stage made up of speakers and all sorts of, cross wires going in and out and megaphones and all sorts of things.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, synthesizers and all that. Yeah. And that was apparently where Phil Spector got the idea for the Wall of Sound. So...
Is that right?
Well,
so he nicked it from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but surely he created it before that, didn't he?
Well, I thought so. I didn't know. His Wall of Sound, I suppose his Wall of Sound came out in the 60s, didn't it?
Yeah.
And this lot were in the 70s,
Yeah, he couldn't have nicked it from them.
Yeah, well,
I think you got that wrong.
Maybe it's the other way around.
I mean, they were so often described as a bit pompous. Are you going to do this all the way through the show?
No, I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
Now, what I was going to say to you was, apparently, they created punk rock.
What?
Unknowingly.
No, well, certainly unknowingly, because I've never heard that one before. Who's told you all this nonsense?
The excess of ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, is often credited with having single-handedly created punk rock as a backlash against prog rock's pomposity.
See. Oh, because of its pomposity. Yeah, well, that could be right.
Is that right?
But, I mean, you had bands
so
like...
what do they mean by that, then?
Well, they mean that, music had become this very, very self-important, pompous kind of, here's some people who are going to create sort of an orchestral-sounding rock and roll.
I see.
And they're going to do these stage performances, which are going to go on for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Oh, I see.
Long kind of, piano solos, drum solos, and bands like Yes... Genesis,
that's right.
All that kind of progressive rock stuff.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And they felt they were very clever and all this kind of stuff.
Music for young men with beards.
I see. It also says by 1977, no band was more demonised in punk's roll call than ELP.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that.
And it says Emerson didn't help. His street credibility was hugely compromised when he became a tax exile in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Where he kept a boat.
Well, you wouldn't mind that, would you? You'd be in favour of that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And spent his time spearfishing and water skiing.
Yeah.
Away from his music, he was mild-mannered, witty and distinctly non-pompous.
Yeah. I'm sure that's probably true. But, I mean, they did have... I mean, I remember I bought a couple of Yes albums in the 70s and basically had two tracks.
Yes.
One was one side of the album and the other one was the other side of the album. And it went on for about 20 minutes.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it was all very well up to a point.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I see why... I mean, you can see why punk came out of it, because they were like, let's take it back from this rather pompous, middle-aged guys, who are not very interesting.
And they all seem to come from, like, universities and things.
Well, they did, yeah.
Didn't they?
Top people. Well, you'd be in favour of that as well, wouldn't you?
Well, I suppose a bit. Oh, I see what you say here. With Emerson, Lake Palmer, Emerson went on to rework Janacek and Bartok. And Bartok, and recorded an album-length version of Mus Ogrosky's Pictures at an Exhibition.
Pictures at an Exhibition. I remember that album cover, actually.
Right, Pictures at an Exhibition. And reinvent Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man.
Yeah, Aaron Copland. I told you that at the beginning.
Did you? Yeah. With the rock and roll shuffle. Yeah, that's interesting. Excuse me.
How about this one from Bob? Are there no health rules at TalkSport? Mike Parry will infect Mike Graham with his cold.
No.
And James says, for heaven's sake, Porky, stop coughing. Be careful, MG. Porky might be spreading his germs onto you. I mean, do you remember last year when you came in with the old pink gloves and you said, you were trying to make sure there were no germs?
That's right.
But if I was doing this to you, you'd be protesting like a mad thing.
But I'm a good distance away from you.
Not far enough.
Also,
I might ask you to sit at the far end of the studio, actually.
No, I'm not infectious. Don't worry.
How do you know that?
Because I know. I've diagnosed myself.
Well, colds are infectious. I mean, people have been dropping like flies around here.
No. I have self-diagnosed myself, and I've got a non-infectious cold, honestly. Don't worry about it.
Really? You should. Well, I am worried about it. You know, the one thing that I don't want is a cold, which would stop me from working.
What is the lead story in your favourite newspaper tonight, please?
Oh, the New Day.
The New Day.
Still at 25p, trial price.
Trial price, yeah.
It says, it's got a picture of an Alsatian.
Yeah.
It says, is this German Shepherd with a sloping back who seems to struggle walking really the best of breed, or the shame of Crufts?
Yeah.
No, I think is the answer to that.
Yeah, I think the answer to that
I
is...
actually watched Crufts, you know, this weekend. Because, you know, the funny thing is, I mean, you always used to watch Crufts and go, what a waste of time this is. But actually, when you got a dog, it's a far more interesting show.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Because actually, you kind of get into it. They had a dog race, which was
race,
remarkable,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It was like a relay race.
But hang
and
on,
they had
is
the
that...
dogs running like about sort of 50 yards in one direction, slamming against the board, running back like through various little tunnels and things.
Really?
And then it was like a tag team thing.
Oh, I see.
It was quite exciting.
Except that
I
this
suppose
says...
that's when you realise you're middle-aged.
Yeah, exactly. But you've just read that headline. Is this German Shepherd with the sloping back? And it says today's top story.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is today's top story.
No, I don't think it is, no.
I think it's a story that nobody really cares about, to be honest.
I mean, they've got 2 pages on it inside.
Yeah.
And I thought that these were supposed to be good news anyway. They're saying it's cruel. RSPCA outraged.
Also, you know, you just mentioned to me about the rocket taking off.
Yeah.
Well, the whole of the centre spread of this is the rocket taking off.
There you go.
The only problem is, what I don't get about this is, a rocket is long and slim.
Yeah.
So if you put it on a 2-page spread, you should actually turn the paper round. Yeah. So you get a full length of the rocket, instead of which you've got a rocket in the middle, and then, haven't you?
Why didn't they turn it the other way?
I don't know. And then 2 conning towers.
Right.
Which are irrelevant to the whole picture, and I'm afraid it's a mess. Isn't it?
It's the worst way to do a picture.
It is.
Maybe they didn't think it would jump the page, but it's a centre spread.
Yeah, I know, but it is, as you quite rightly say, in the wrong perspective. I don't know.
And they've got the picture editor's written the caption as well.
I know. What's happened to Fleet Street since we left?
I know.
Lifting
Shocking.
off with a fiery blast, this British-backed rocket begins a 300 million mile trip to try and find life on Mars.
Yeah.
Got to find life in New Day, yeah?
Yes, indeed. We're going to talk to Stephen Caldwell coming up very shortly. He's going to be ringing in. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Impeccable timing and anticipation.
Nice.
Talks.
Since Jagielka's come back in the team, the Everton defence has become much more solid.
But isn't there another player as well that's keeping him out?
Well, no, there's the Argentinian.
I've got to send that picture out, your betting slip.
Oh, yes, OK. Olfino, the Argentinian, right, has proven to be a very, very good player indeed. Jagielka, of course, is a very good player. John Stone's a very good player. And in fairness,
but Stones can't get back in the team, is my point.
But when he does get in the team, they tend to start playing him at right back, which is out of position for him because he's a central defender. But it's you're having a wealth of riches in terms of good defenders. That's all I.
But I just find it a bit amusing. I mean, when I saw them panning over to the substitutes bench, to see John Stone sitting there looking rather sullen because he couldn't get on the field.
Yeah, well, he's still a very young man, isn't he? And he's, I think he's dealing with the psychological, battle to try and establish himself in a team full of top professionals like Lukaku. And you can get carried away in thinking that, it's easy, this, and then suddenly it becomes very hard.
Yeah.
Now then, I was going to talk to you about, because, of course, I had a real flush of this over the weekend, happiness, OK?
You had a flush of happiness. You were very happy.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I had to say that you deserve a bit of happiness in your life.
Well, thank you.
I felt very good for you. I felt sort of almost buoyed by your own enthusiasm.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
And I thought to myself, I'm so happy for Porky.
Excellent. Well done.
If only you could remember it.
Well done. Of course I remember it, you idiot. Now then, the point is, I get sent all these books all the time.
Yes.
I got sent a book called Happiness.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's that by?
It's by, let me see, Ruth Whipman.
Ruth Whipman. I don't think I'm familiar with her.
And it says, happiness, priceless gift, isn't it? Unless you work in the happiness industry, in which case it's worth something like $11 billion in the US.
What's the happiness industry?
Self-help books.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Courses that you buy on video or download.
Oh, yeah.
Shows, gadgets that are enough to keep you busy and out of pocket for a lifetime. And on this pile lands one more, The Pursuit of Happiness, Ruth Whitman.
Right. You should probably write a self-help book. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I could do. I could motivate people, yeah.
We do a lot of it on Ask Porky, which will be on, of course, tomorrow night.
Yes.
But we do, you do help an awful lot of people. And some of your advice actually turns out to be quite right. Funnily enough, somebody actually tweeted me, there's a front-page story on the front of the Express this morning, I don't know if you've seen it, which says old age starts at 85.
Old age starts at 85,
and
I've seen that,
somebody tweeted and said, Porky's got it right again.
Yeah,
hashtag early middle age.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I keep saying.
Many do not consider themselves elderly until they are 85.
That's right, absolutely.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
No, that's absolutely right. Now, what I was going to say about this Ruth Whitman, right, she's British.
Oh, is she?
She went over to America, tried to make it in sort of Los Angeles, you know. Oh, excuse me, sorry. And
dear God, I'm going to get some kind of those things you can buy from they have them at the London Dungeon.
Yes,
they used to wear during the plague.
Yes,
it's like it makes you look like a woodpecker. It's like a big long sort of pointy mask.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm going to get you to wear one of them because they used to wear them to stop picking up the Black Death.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry, I know you've no interest in any of the things.
No, I have, but 1 minute you're telling me that you feel happy for me, the next that you're putting me down again.
Well, I'm not putting you down. I just don't want to get the lurgy from you.
No, well, I don't want you to get the lurgy either. Now, what I was going to say is, she's studied happiness because she was lonely in America.
Right.
And once and started...
Like you, then?
No.
Well, you were a bit lonely in America.
No, I wasn't. I was never lonely in America.
It led you to consort with the wrong sort of people.
No, not at all. Now...
Like a New York welcoming committee.
So she started talking to people at random and then found their reaction to be very strange. Either they thought she was a nutter or they really appreciated the approach from another human being.
Right.
The pursuit of happiness is no mere line in the Declaration of Independence to Americans, but a goal entrenched in their psyche. So she says, basically, Americans have an ambition to be happy, but in this country we don't.
What's the word? What's the line
that's
again?
The American dream, isn't it?
Yeah, but what's the line from the... it's actually in the Constitution, isn't it?
What is it?
The pursuit of something in happiness.
Yeah, wealth and happiness, is it?
Yeah, but there's one more, I think. Health, wealth and happiness.
Health, wealth and happiness, yeah, something like that, yeah. Right. So... excuse me. So what they say is, excuse me, there is a distinct difference between the American way of life and the British way of life. In the British way of life, we have a cynicism, which means, and I think this is very true of me as well, that if you pursue happiness or if you actually acquire happiness, you take it as a completely false state of life.
Yeah, you see, you don't like happiness.
It can't be
you
true.
don't like being happy. You've said this before.
I'm suspicious of happiness.
It makes you feel uneasy.
Yes, it does.
But I think that dates back to your childhood, where you don't think you deserve to be happy.
Yes.
That's my sort of, pop psychological analysis of you.
What do you mean I don't deserve to be happy?
I don't think you deserve to be happy. I think you think you lack self-esteem. I think you don't think you deserve to be given good things. I think you feel like you have to strive and fight and battle for everything that you get.
Yes.
And then when you've got it, you don't think you deserve it.
Yeah, well... No, sometimes, if I'm having a day where I think, actually, I haven't got too many problems today, I do feel very uneasy.
Yeah.
Because...
for example, if you give yourself in your diary less than 5 out of 10, does that worry you?
No, that's quite encouraging because it means I've got to try harder tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I give
What's
myself...
the lowest mark you've ever received?
Oh, 0.
0 out of 10?
0 days. I've had 0
Really?
days. Oh, without
When was the last time you had one of those?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not this year, but maybe last year, something like that. Yeah,
that must be... What sort of thing would give you a 0?
Oh, I don't know.
Nothing good about the day at all?
Nothing good about the day. Hadn't been in a radio studio all day or a TV studio or anything. Found that, the expectations of life were weighing me down, all that kind of stuff.
You're the most complex person I've ever known.
No, I'm not, no.
You are.
But anyway, this lady, Ruth Whitman, she decides to try and chase the dream herself. She's British, but she's in America, okay? Right. She goes to a workshop where the participants are encouraged to distinguish between facts and interpretation. A young woman steps up to the microphone. Next to her is a board with 2 large circles, one labelled "What Happened," and the other which says "Never Happened." Excuse me. She says, and this woman says to her, this is a practical exercise, I was born in Poland. What's your problem? Huh?
What What's the point of the story?
Well, I think she feels
I was born in Poland.
I think she's comparing it to people who were born in America.
What?
Well, what she's saying is that...
But she was born in Britain.
No. This is Ruth Whitman.
Yeah, I thought she was British.
Yes, but she's watching other people perform at happiness meetings.
Right.
And
Well, what's being born in Poland got to do with it?
Well, I think, being born in Poland wasn't a great start in life in those days.
What?
Well, before the Iron Curtain got lifted and all that, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I've always found Polish people to be very happy people.
Yeah, well, I've always found them to be industrious, honest and hard-working and very loyal.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a... Did
you have property over there at one point?
Yes.
Do you still?
Was
it Krakow?
Krakow. Yeah. It's within a property portfolio, actually.
Oh, right.
But no, the point is, we had a squadron of Polish fighters in the Second World War.
That's very true, yeah.
Spitfire fighters.
Many of them were stationed in Scotland, in fact.
Oh, some of them were, you're absolutely right, yeah.
My mother told me about that.
Yeah, but...
she was very keen on them.
But anyway, I do think the pursuit of happiness is something people get into, and I think they must be mad.
Right.
Because I don't think it's attainable. I don't think it's achievable.
Well, I think happiness is something that's worth attaining.
No, it's a false state. You can't have it.
I don't agree. I think you're either generally a happy person or generally a miserable person.
No.
I'm personally generally a happy person.
Okay.
And
well, I'm not miserable.
No, you are.
Oh, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Well,
I'm practical.
You've just said that you feel uncomfortable when you're happy.
Yes, I do.
So therefore, you don't consider it to be a state that you can be in for very long. So you can be happy because Everton have qualified for the semi-finals of the FA Cup.
Yes, I can.
But then once you've got over that, you go back to your original state. Whereas for me, it's the other way round. Like if something irritates me or annoys me, I get over that and then I go back to my generally happy state.
I think you have to question if anybody who's in a permanent state of happiness because they're a half-baked.
No, I haven't said permanent state of happiness, but I'm more often happy than not.
Yeah.
Whereas you're the other way around.
No, I'm questioning about life. I just don't take life at face value.
Yeah, all right. How about this from Charlton Kev? Mr Parry, try salt and vinegar throat wash. That will sort your cough out. Maybe we can get you one of those in the next section of the show.
Sounds brilliant.
Salt and vinegar throat wash. I don't know when you're doing that anywhere near me. Now, I've got a couple of things to tell you, but let me read you this from Steve, who says, the best cure for a cold, Porky, is meldonium. Just ask Maria.
Oh, yeah, right, OK, yeah, I'll get into that.
Sharapova.
Will I get banned from broadcasting if I'm taking meldonium?
Not necessarily.
No,
I don't know whether it's on the Ofcom banned list.
Okay.
I don't know if there is an Ofcom banned list of performance-enhancing drugs, is there?
Not unless you're off your head, I suppose.
No. Here's one from Ian, who says, what in God's name is Porky bagging on about? Complete madness in between the bouts of coughing and spluttering.
What do you mean?
Well, nonsense. You were just spouting about the happiness thing.
Well,
I was born in Poland.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
Well. Now, I'll tell you about Crufts, what I forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah, this is interesting.
Because it was kind of intermittently on last night.
Yes.
Dinner had a bit of dinner, then sort of kids were having baths and things. Anyway,
excellent.
But at one point or other, I walked out of the room and the dog was sitting in front of the TV and watching Crufts.
Yeah. Right.
With sort of,
That's interesting.
I mean, just watching, and the dogs were running up and down and parading and all the rest of it. And he was quite fine until this one particular dog was walked on, and it looked like, I don't know what kind of dog it was, but it was kind of a tan colour.
Yeah.
Quite long haired.
Yeah.
And quite a pointy face. I don't think it was a collie, but it was something like that. Anyway, suddenly went nuts at this particular dog. He jumped up and tried to, headbutt the TV screen.
Really?
And he took against this dog. Yeah, it was really funny.
Oh, so he wasn't being affectionate to this dog?
No, I don't think so. He was just very sort of agitated by
a male dog, isn't it?
He is a male dog, yeah.
Could this have been a female dog?
It might have been, but I mean, I don't know if he would have seen that from the television.
No.
I mean, normally most of what they do is by sense of smell.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
But it was just a very bizarre reaction.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't really want him to start sort of, knocking the TV over.
No.
So I had to kind of restrain him slightly. But he got very excitable.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So we think the dog, your dog Ziggy, has eye recognition of programmes on television.
Oh, he's watched TV before. I mean, he loves nature programmes. I mean, if you show him, one of those underwater programmes, he's very, very engrossed in that.
Really?
Quite likes that, yeah. Oh. But I've never really shown him a programme about dogs
amazing.
before.
Because we've had this discussion before about whether dogs can read, haven't we?
Yeah, and I haven't taught him to read, obviously.
No, but I mean, it's amazing he recognises things like that. And I do find that quite... actually, talking about wildlife, know... I've found from one of my nature journals...
Well, before you do that, somebody was asking me again on Twitter over the weekend, what's going on with, is it Ponzi? The old the chimp over in in that island off Africa.
Yeah.
What's going on with him?
Well, I mean, I get regular bulletins, but there's no update so far.
Nothing's happened?
No update.
In the same way that nothing's happened with Tommy the chimp.
Well, we're working on it. A series of wildlife discoveries have been made during the biggest survey yet of nature around the coastline of Britain, right?
Right.
we have found more than 3,400 new species.
Of what?
What?
Of what? 400 new species of what? What?
Well, of things.
Of things?
Like,
any particular things?
Yes, among the discoveries during the Bio Blitz, okay?
What's the Bio Blitz?
The first recorded...
Why are you shouting?
Because I'm trying to tell you, because you're being idiotic. Right.
You've seen the time.
The first recorded sighting of the Balearic shearwater seabird, Puffinus maratanacinus, at Blakeney on the Norfolk coast.
Are you actually speaking in English?
It's called Puffinus maratanacinus.
Maratanacinus.
And it was found at Blakeney on the Norfolk coast.
That goal for Leicester.
No, you idiot. It is. That's one of the species. Okay, you asked me.
A species of what sort of bird?
What do you mean?
You said it was a bird.
It's not a bird. Shearwater seabird. Yeah, it's a seabird. Yeah,
a seabird.
Now, a freshwater.
Like an albatross.
Hang on, at Freshwater West in Pembrokeshire, which you seem to know a bit, West Wales.
Yeah, I don't know that well.
We've discovered a slow worm.
Oh, good.
It's called Angles fragililis, and it was found for the first time since 1966.
You'd think if it was that slow, they'd have spotted it before.
The forest chafer beetle, Melalothana hippocanasti, found at White Park Bay in County Antrim.
Hippocanasti?
Yeah.
Sounds like a description of you.
Yeah. And, I mean, this is all incredible stuff. 3,400 new species in a search of Britain's coastline. It's brilliant.
OK, well, we'll look forward to exploring that one in a little while. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes.
UEFA Champions League football on Talk Sport.
What a goal!
Tonight from 7.
Full updates of Manchester City's clash with Dynamo Kiev.
And they've scored on the counter-attack, Manchester City.
Then tomorrow night from 7.
Full match commentary of Barcelona versus Arsenal.
Oh, what a goal for Olivier Giroud.
With a full-on post-match phone-in after all the action.
Perfect timing.
UEFA Champions League football on Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Winners and losers coming up a little bit later on, of course, and there will be a podcast coming. How about this from Matt? He says, I had a cat that used to watch the snooker and then look under the TV for the ball when the camera went to the pocket shot.
Really?
How about that?
That's quite amazing, isn't it? Yeah, the cat should think like that. I tell you what else I did to contribute to Leicester's well-being.
Yes.
Last Friday, I was invited into a radio studio for another organisation, right?
Oh, I noticed that on Twitter, actually. Yes. I didn't have the opportunity to listen to it, unfortunately, as I was in transit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you should have stopped and switched the radio on.
I didn't want to stop. I had to go and pick my son up from school.
Oh, really?
I didn't have time for that.
I think listening to me is more important than picking your son up from school.
I mean, interesting that you say that, you know, one day without being on the radio. So, I mean, you're basically on the radio all the time.
Well,
you're an expert on this time.
Well, I was invited on because they had on the other line the chap who is a Leicester fan who put £20 down at 5,000 to 1 for Leicester to win the Premier League at the start of the season.
Yeah, right.
Now, should he go the full length of the season, he would have picked up £100,000.
If they win the league.
If they win the league.
Yeah. It's only if they win, right? I mean, you don't get, win, place or show, do you?
No, you get it's win or not. Anyway, I don't know whether the deal was precipitated by the betting company or whether he went and approached them.
Right.
But he copped out 2 games ago.
Yeah.
When his accumulated wealth of his bet was estimated by the betting company to be 29,000.
Yeah.
So
isn't that something now that a lot of people get the option of, though, with betting company? With various bets, you can cash out the bet.
Cash out the bet, exactly, yeah. So
I don't really understand how that works, actually.
Well, I do.
No, but you see those TV ads for it, right? When you get the guys who are watching a game, and then they get this thing flashes up on the phone.
That's right, yeah.
You want to cash out now for this price.
And they do.
I don't really know how that works.
And they get a quarter of the money or a third of the money. Well, all I'm saying is you can... I think it's... I'm not a great betting man myself, but I think it's a real-time bet, if you see what I mean.
Right.
What's the score? It's now... Right, I'm stopping now. And I think you get 1/4 of the odds or something like that.
Yeah, but how long do you get when it flashes up? Do you have to, instantly decide whether you want to do it then, or do you get a minute, or what?
No. If the score is the score you've predicted... and you want to cash out then, you just cash out then. But you get, as I say, you only get a percentage of your stake.
So it's like a movable feast, presumably.
Yeah, it's a movable feast.
So sometimes you cash it out and you made a mistake because you should have left it in.
Of course you have. Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, but that's you're guaranteeing some payment back. But anyway, so this guy's got 29,000, right?
Right.
So he's 71,000 short, right?
Well, I mean, for a £20 bet, that's a pretty good return.
Pretty good return. However,
and was his wife not involved in persuading him to take the money or something?
I don't know. I didn't hear that bit said.
Yeah.
But I talked to the guy directly, and I said, "Look, if you don't mind me saying, I think you're feeble-minded in doing this. And
I'm sure he must have been delighted to hear that.
Well, he took it all very well, and he said, why? I said, well, the point is, I said, when that gets round now, that means that you as a Leicester fan on the brink of the greatest glory you'll ever experience supporting your team in your lifetime. I said, because even if you win it again, you'll always remember the first one. You know what I mean?
But what if he gets to the end of the season and for whatever reason, I mean, I can't really see Leicester not winning it now, I have to say.
Yeah.
And of course, as you know, I did say that Claudio Ranieri would be very good for Leicester.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes, I did, yeah.
But basically, if, say, for example, they got overtaken by Spurs, and he went back to sort of March and went, if I could have cashed out my bet and got 30,000 quid, I've now got nothing.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if he'd have kept faith and gone the right way through and got 100,000...
faith is one thing, but 30,000 quid to most people is a very large amount of money. I mean, that's more than most people make in a year.
I agree.
And it is more than the average salary of this country.
I agree, but what I said to him was... excuse me. I said, look, the thing is now, you're showing, lack of faith in your team. I said, when that ripples round the ground, the King, what's it called? The King
Power.
King Power Stadium.
Or the KP.
I said that could really shake people's confidence in the team. That could reflect in the way that the crowd acts during the game. The players themselves suddenly read this story that you've copped out for 29,000 instead of sticking it to the end and getting 100,000. They're going to be very disappointed. It means that nobody's taking the title race seriously or the title bid.
I think what it shows is that, you had a great amount of faith in the team in the first place to put £20 on, having spent so much time.
Anyone could put £20 on for a bet, couldn't they?
No, but having spent so much time at the bottom of the league last year, you wouldn't have thought immediately, that they're going to win it, right? And so also he's showing great faith in the fact that, he's been a supporter of Leicester City probably for many years, and he's just made 30 grand.
Well, I have to say...
I think I would be tempted to do the same.
I thought it was... No, I'd have seen it through to the end. I mean, look...
And what makes you an expert in this, anyway?
Well, I'm not an expert in it. Well, I was asked, as a, long-standing fan of another club, mine's Everton, obviously, would I have done the same thing?
Well, I mean, do you put a bet on at the beginning of every year that Everton are going to win the league?
No, I don't, no. No, I don't. But because,
Are you going to put a bet on they're going to win the FA Cup?
I might do.
Because I've got a feeling it's Watford's year,
Well, you said that outside
Watford against
before.
Crystal Palace, right? Watford are on a bit of a roll. They've got quite an interesting style of play.
Yes.
Crystal Palace very sort of, up and down and kind of, hot and cold.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know about Everton getting past West Ham or Manchester United, to be honest.
Well, I think we'd get past Manchester United. I'm not sure if we get past West Ham, but I think West Ham are going to be the team we're going to face anyway. And they're undoubtedly the other best team left in the competition, with no disrespect to Watford or Crystal Palace, who, by the way, have themselves done sensationally well to get through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and beaten good teams. I mean, look...
What did you say there? That Everton are the best team left in it?
Everton and West Ham are the best teams left in it, in my view, because we've got Lukaku, West Ham have got Payet.
Yeah, but Everton are still below both West Ham and Manchester United.
No, I agree with that. And Watford and Palace have done extremely well. I mean, Watford to go to the Emirates and beat Arsenal. It's a
shambles, that is, though.
Well...
I mean, the Arsene Wenger cavalcade rolls on, does it not?
Well, I think you'll find the whispers are getting stronger now, and the drum beats are getting louder for Arsene Wenger to now make a decision on his future at Arsenal.
But he's become very kind of bitter and twisted about it all, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, yeah.
He's getting to that point where he's kind of holding up his hands like the old proverbial King Canute.
Yes, he is.
Doesn't want anybody to say anything. He's finding it boring when people criticise him.
Yeah.
He says, what did he say? Something like, it's just another game. We win some games, we lose other games, and, well, it's not just another game, is it?
Yes, he said we have some joy when we win games, we have disappointment, and we get sad when we lose games.
Knocked out the FA Cup. I think I'm right in saying, had they gone on and won the FA Cup, they would have been one of only 3 teams to have won it 3 years in a row. I didn't know there'd be that many.
Say again.
3 teams have won it 3 times in three years in a row, apparently.
What, the FA Cup?
In the history of the FA Cup.
No, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting stat.
I thought Newcastle won it twice and then lost the third one.
I don't know who the other 3 teams are.
Oh, well, I bet it goes back to the 1890s or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it'll be Royal Engineers or Wanderers or something like that. But no, the point is you're quite right. The more that people sort of suggest that Arsene Wenger now should review his future, the more entrenched he seems to get.
Exactly, yeah.
That he won't under any circumstances.
He's become like a politician that's passed his sell-by date.
Yeah, he has a bit,
like Margaret Thatcher was. Like, in fact, I always put a tweet out, but I thought this is bound to create so much sort of havoc that I didn't do it, because 2 of the most reviled characters in British politics, Margaret Thatcher and Tony Blair, both did not take anybody's advice and did not leave office when they should have done.
No.
And instead they were forced out in what ended up being a bit of a sort of disappointment.
Well, hang on. Who said it? All political careers end in failure.
Well, they always do, don't they?
Famous quote is that.
I don't know. I mean, it's the one thing that, Piers Morgan always used to say, if you get appointed an editor or if you get appointed a Prime Minister, you know what's going to happen. Eventually you're going to get kicked out.
Same with news editors. All news editors eventually get booted out.
And the same with football managers.
Out. Yeah, it's true.
It's true. If they hang around too long, and there's not very many clubs where you can hang around too long, but in Arsene Wenger's case, he's obviously in control of his own destiny. He's never going to walk away.
I think he's got to go now. I really do, because, otherwise it's another season of failure next season. What I was going to say was, there's a spat, of course, going on between our good friend Piers Morgan and Gary Lineker.
Is it David Beckham, you said?
I beg your pardon. David Beckham, not Gary Lineker.
How can you confuse David Beckham with Gary Lineker?
I don't know. I think I must be getting delirious.
Yeah.
But,
I think you must be. You're not breaking out a sweat or anything.
No. But I
think for the nurse.
I think the way it went is, I think David Beckham said that, he's getting a bit fed up seeing celebrity supporters of Arsenal passing judgment on Arsene Wenger.
Right.
And I think Piers Morgan
assumed he was talking about him.
And replied by saying, well, hang on, everything that David Beckham says is done to promote brand Beckham. So, I don't really want to take much notice of him, that kind of stuff, So what about Gary Lineker, by the way? I saw Gary at the game on Saturday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And how was he?
Yeah, he's in very good fettle, actually. He's in fine form,
yeah. What does he have to say for himself?
Well, not a lot. He looks in great shape physically. That's the first thing I noticed.
He's very, very good.
When he walked towards me, I thought, crikey, he looks like he could still be playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But he was there, obviously, to do the Everton game with Goodison.
Absolutely, right. Now, we're going to talk to Clayton Anderson coming up very shortly. We've got winners and losers coming up. This is TalkSport. Yeah.
If you fancy a flutter on the football, a gamble on the golf, a double on the darts, or a treble on the tennis, you're in luck. Get closer to the action every weekend with Betway's Man in the Know on the Weekend Sports Breakfast with Georgie Bingham and Mickey Quinn, bringing you all the form on the football, the going at Goodwood and the overs at the Oval every Saturday and Sunday morning from 7 on TalkSport with Betway. Get exclusive Cheltenham insight from Richard Johnson at Betway.com. Bet the responsible way.
Buy-to-let landlords. Direct Line guaranteed to beat any quote for the same cover. Can your insurance do that? Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. New customers only. Qualifying criteria apply. Underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
So what does a good teacher make?
My teacher makes me want to put my hand up as fast as I can in class. My teacher makes me believe that I can be the best I really can.
My teacher just made me realise that not all subjects are bad.
Make a difference to thousands of lives, including your own. Tax-free bursaries are available to help you while you train. Teaching. Your future. Their future. Search Change to Teaching. Bursaries subject to eligibility.
Bet on any Cheltenham Festival race with 5 or more runners online or on your mobile. And if your horse finishes second, William Hill give you your money back as a free bet. Get money back second online or on mobile with William Hill. Qualifying bets include win or each-way single bets placed day of race. Max refund £25 per customer per race. Free bet stake not included in winnings. T's and C's apply. Over 18s only. When the fun stops, stop.
It's wheel-spinning winning when we play Checkered Flag. All this week on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on TalkSport with Sky Sports F1. Go wheel-to-wheel with another TalkSport listener. Be the quickest to answer questions correctly and take the Checkered Flag to win Sky Sports free for a year. Plus a 48-inch Samsung Curve TV. Thanks to Sky Sports F1. Play Checkered Flag. All this week on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on TalkSport with Sky Sports F1. The only place to watch the season-opening 2016 Formula One Rolex Australian Grand Prix live.
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
You might not like it.
This afternoon from 4.
I've let it go for 6 years.
Later on, Bob in Sheffield says this. Hey, Tue Mikes, you should play a recording of a quiz from the past to give Porky's throat a rest. His talking will only aggravate his condition. This is Cecil Road.
That's right, Cecil Road.
Well, who else do they want to pull down then?
Well, what they want to do is, they're getting all sort of crazy now. They're now saying that Cambridge students have cancelled an Around the World in 80 Days party because some complained the theme is racist.
What, Around the World in 80 Days?
Yes.
Why?
Undergraduates against the idea claimed it could lead to cultural appropriation should revellers dress up in the traditional clothes of ethnic groups from around the world that they do not belong to.
Okay.
But others branded the argument as controlling and insulting. It smacks of extreme political correctness.
Yeah.
And the debate is now taking place between these super brain students on Facebook, right? Now, around the world...
There's nothing better to do, these people.
Well, this is a very good question. Yeah. Now, have you ever read Around the World in 80 Days?
I don't think I ever read... I might have read it. I remember I read Journey to the Centre of the Earth, which was the other Jules Verne.
No, I read Around the World in 80 Days.
I'm not sure if I read it. I certainly saw the film.
Phileas Fogg? Was he in it?
Fogg, yeah.
Yeah, he was in it. And I read it. And I read it in, like, I was so young, I read it in an illustrated book. Yeah. You know what I mean? Pictures of blooms.
I remember the song as well.
I
think Frank Sinatra sang it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But anyway...
was it David Niven in the movie?
I think he was, yeah. But it says Around the World in 80 Days is an 1873 adventure novel by the French writer Jules Verne.
Right.
I knew that, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Now, the Junior Parlour Committee at Pembroke College, which is in Cambridge, which is running the event, told students, after lengthy discussions, it was using an alternative theme to avoid the potential for offence. A student leader, Shoni Ekala, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, said many are angry about the decision and have vented their concerns on social media. Those in favour...
It's a party, right?
It's a party.
Yeah.
Those in favour of the original theme claim that deliberately changing the theme implies the student body isn't capable of dressing appropriately by itself. It's all completely mad stuff, this.
I mean, you can see, though, on the other hand, that somebody didn't really think it through terribly well, because you could have probably seen that coming if you're in that kind of academic setting where people are terribly sensitive about, it's like this phrase now which has come into play, check your privilege.
Check your
Have
privilege.
you heard this one?
No, what's that?
Has anyone ever said this to you?
No, what's that?
Well, it's something to do with a kind of, if you're white and middle class, particularly in male, and middle-aged probably, that you're basically in a privileged position.
Yeah.
So, therefore, all of the views that you have are fed and nurtured by you being in that privileged position. So you can't possibly know really anything about it. So check your privilege.
Well, what are you supposed to do then?
It's what these kind of lefties say to each other.
Yeah. Are you supposed to say, well, I'm sorry about my birthright. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go right back to my childhood years and ask if I could be cast into poverty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Something like that.
Just to finish this one, a student in favour of the ban, that's the ban on the party, around the 90 days.
Yes.
Many of the outfits are not national dress as defined by their own culture, but are crude stereotypes and often rely on historical, racial tropes.
But are they dressing up to be characters from the book, if you like, that Jules Verne was describing?
I think what they're dressing up to be is to be characters from the countries that Jules Verne went through.
No, I know, but my point
is in his trip around the world in 80 days.
This is where you end up getting caught up with all this nonsense because it depends. I mean, if he's described the way that these people were dressed, then that would be a legitimate sort of homage to the book.
Yeah.
If people are just making up what they think he was describing,
that's
exactly different.
Yeah, well, I don't know the answer to that one, but I think what the protesters are saying is that if people dress up as like what looks like an African warrior, it's a stereotype.
Yeah, right.
Well, in fact, in those days, people did dress like that in Africa.
Because they were for African warriors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
I know, it's all a
the
bit
one
mad,
that really gets me is the Cecil Rhodes one that you mentioned.
Yes.
And that's an Oxford college, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah. Well, is it not Rhodes College?
It is Rhodes College. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
because where Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar.
That's right, Rhodes Scholar.
Does that mean you have to remove that name?
Well, you see,
you can't be a Rhodes Scholar anymore.
I've never heard anybody put this argument forward. Rhodesia became Zimbabwe, and under Robert Mugabe is now one of the poorest countries in the world.
It is, with inflation at something like 1,500% or something.
And
people are cooking over burning plastic.
95% of the wealth of Rhodesia is now in the hands of a handful of people.
Well, is it a Swiss bank account?
A Swiss bank account and Robert Mugabe family and all that kind of stuff. We all know that, OK? So all I would say is it doesn't really matter what the colour of the present ruler is. It doesn't really matter what the colour of Cecil Rhodes was.
Yeah.
Was Rhodesia, as it was then, a more efficient and better equipped country?
Well, you see, now you'll have to check your privilege on this one because you're not asking the right question.
Exactly. When Cecil Rhodes founded and led it,
might have been.
Or is it these days under Robert Mugabe? That's the only question I ask.
In the days when Cecil Rhodes was around, you would say that for some people it was well run, for other people it was horrendous. That's the problem.
Maybe that's the case. I'd like the answer from an historian who knows all about it.
Oh, we'll see if we can get one on then.
But it was known as the breadbasket of Africa because the farming policies were so good. Imported from England, like a lot of stuff in the British Empire.
Yeah, but all the land and property was owned by white people, and that was what the problem was.
Yes, absolutely. I accept all that, and I accept that, Mugabe came in and decided on a transfer of ownership. Yeah. I accept all that.
Yeah.
But the efficiency with which it was done has not worked.
Yeah, no,
because it's not now the breadbasket of Africa.
But then those who would defend what happened would say, but at least now it's being run by Zimbabweans themselves as opposed to being run by...
But one-third of the country's now starving.
1/3?
Yes.
We're like 1/3 of your heart.
No. Yes, well, only 1/3 of my heart works, obviously. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that, the system these days doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I'm not saying it was perfect.
But I think that's more down to the fact that Mugabe has taken total control of the whole political system and everything else. And actually, if it was run as a proper democracy, it might be better. The guy is
I agree.
Is what can only be described as a wrong-un.
Well, a megalomaniac.
Yeah.
And a very old man now.
Yeah.
And some believe
I wonder what's going to happen when he finally passes on.
Well, apparently his wife is ready to step into the breach. Yeah. Right. But apparently age has withered him in terms of mental faculty, according to people who are observers.
Yeah.
And that may be one of the problems.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Now, this is the kind of thing you've engendered in some of the people that listen to this show, right?
Right.
Nathan in Maidstone has sent in this text to 81089.
Yes.
He says, MG, get your facts right, you fat-faced fool.
Oh, dear,
that's not the sort of thing that I'd like to be called. But because you call me that.
Well, only occasionally.
He's got it slightly wrong, actually, because he hasn't put a D on the end of faced. He says, only 2 teams won the FA Cup 3 times in a row. Well, I think you'll find I said they would become the 3rd team to win 3 times in a row.
Which means only 2 have previously.
Well, exactly.
And has he named them?
He has. Wanderers FC.
I said that, didn't
1876, 77, 78.
Yeah.
No, you said the Royal Engineers.
Yeah.
And Blackburn in 84, 85 and 86. That's 18. That's 1884, 85.
Okay, yeah, of course there's, yeah. So I said it was a long time ago.
Yeah. And Steve has also sent in a much more polite message to say those 2 teams won.
Yes, well, there you go.
So there we are.
Yeah, absolutely excellent. That's really good news.
James says this. So Parry would see the bet out, would he? Well, he would say that, being a millionaire with a property portfolio. He has to realise that listeners of this show are real people, and 30,000 off 20 quid seems pretty wise to me. And then he goes, man of the people, don't make me laugh.
Hang on, I'm a man of the people.
Plank.
For goodness sake, I've worked every day of my life. I'm a man of the people.
No, you haven't. You took 7 months off and lay in a hospital bed.
Well, that's because I was dying.
Well, then it's not true to say that you worked every day of your life, then, is it?
Well, when I could get out of bed.
Oh, OK, so when you could work.
When I didn't have to be monitored, by some of the world's top heart surgeons to make sure I didn't die overnight.
Hey, by the way, loads of people have found Dr Banner on LinkedIn.
Have they?
I'm thinking of contacting him.
Oh, right, OK.
And see whether he wants to come on the show.
He won't respond to you, mate.
I bet he will. I'm going to connect with him this week. We might have to do it sooner rather than later. Before you finally expire. You're going to be a terrible way for Cheltenham, by the way.
No, I'm not. I'll be better by then, don't worry. Yeah, I'll wrap up in my
you know what we need to find out?
Big overcoat.
You know what we need to find out, by the way?
What?
Is whether Ruby Walsh is going to be giving us a little speech again. Because his tips last year were absolutely incredible.
Yes, they were.
I think every single race I won last year.
I saw a piece with him and Tony McCoy. Sitting in 2 armchairs right in the middle of Cheltenham.
Did you see that picture of the horse dressed up today?
It was fantastic. I sent out a tweet about it and said that it was dressed better than you. Well, when we get to Cheltenham, it'll look better than you.
Yeah, but we've all seen how you were dressed, like a tramp.
Don't you think,
with your
by the way,
in the air trying to get a taxi in Liverpool?
Don't you think, by the way, that was rather cruel, that horse dressed up like that? No, I do. I thought it was horrible.
Why?
Well, a horse is a magnificent beast.
You think they chose the wrong colour for him?
Well, no, I think to make it a figure of fun by, putting it in a tweed jacket and a shirt and all that. I didn't like it at all.
Really?
I didn't like it at all.
You're the same guy that thinks it's all right for dolphins to be used for military exercises and blow themselves up.
Well, if it can save human lives and stop wars and all that kind of stuff, there is a case to be said for that.
I think a horse putting on a jacket and tie, it's not really a big problem.
I didn't like it. I thought it was making a mockery of a fine beast and taking the mickey a little bit. And it's so undignified for the horse to be walking around like that.
No,
it is.
Toe-faced.
No. Horses must have dignity.
Yeah, all right.
They must. They're
Horses
magnificent
must
creatures.
have dignity.
Yes, they must, yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport 2 kicks off this morning at 10 a.m. with all the build-up to the Cheltenham Festival, live from the course. From 1, live World 2020 cricket.
Hear full commentary of India versus New Zealand.
Go there to a ball and he's bowling.
From 7, live Champions League football.
Atletico Madrid versus PSV.
Charging into the area. It's 2-0.
From 10, ATP World Tour Master Series Tennis.
Hear all the action from Indian Wells as the world's best tennis players go head-to-head.
Nadal's got it back with the forehands away.
Talk Sport 2, The Prodigal Son, launches this morning at 10. Online and on DAB. Because sport never stops.
Do you remember a time when you would go from Mars? I don't know if you knew that. I would stay up late playing cards and you were into and cigars. And she never told me her name. I still love you, the girl from Mars. Sitting in our dreamy days by the water. father's hedge on a crisp summer night. Fireflies and stars and
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. It's the winners and losers coming up a little bit later on. A Porky quiz, of course, on Thursday. Porky Vision on Wednesday.
Yep.
We haven't worked out what the Porky quiz is yet. We've got plenty of time for that.
Yes.
Let's talk, though, now to Clayton Anderson, who I described earlier as our favourite astronaut.
Yes.
Former astronaut, is to be precise.
Yes.
He's the author of a book called The Ordinary Spaceman. And we're going to ask him about this Life on Mars latest. Clayton, a very good morning to you. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks, guys. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you.
We certainly are. But I guess the question is, there's been lots and lots of exploration projects going towards Mars, finding out various bits and pieces. What's different about this one, this rocket that's gone up from Kazakhstan in the last 24 hours?
Well, I think that's the first part that's different, right? It's a combination effort between the European Space Agency and the Russians. So that in and of itself is a little bit unique for that sort of thing. And the second idea is that the rocket's going to send two things to Mars. They have an orbiter that's going to look for gas, specifically methane gas, because scientists on Earth believe that methane is a potential key to life, but it can also come from geological activity. So that probe will eventually look to see if it can figure out some of that and give us some more hints. And then the other... Schiaparelli, that they call it, I believe is how they pronounce it. It's going to enter the atmosphere, and it's kind of a demonstration thing for the future. So, how do you enter the atmosphere? How do you descend? How do you land safely? And what can we do with that technology if we actually send humans one day? So, it's kind of interesting to see. They got a long travel to go before they even get to Mars, and then we'll see what kind of results they bring back.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the time frame on some project like this? and presumably over in the States, they'll be sort of paying attention to what discoveries may or may not be made.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure of their exact travel time, but it looks like they're targeting something in the late fall to get to the red planet. So that's about right, 6 to 9 months.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Clayton, what I was going to say is, to what extent can we determine life on Mars if it's there, Clayton? We're not talking about little green men here, are we? Are we talking about literally, organisms, plants, this sort of thing?
Yeah, we have to be careful. When people out there talk about life on Mars, right, a lot of them do think about little green men and that sort of thing. But I think what the scientists are pointing to, and what we all need to kind of calibrate our brains to think about, is the basic building blocks of life, right? The little microbes or whatever, that from those things, potentially life could one day evolve, right?
Yeah.
I think we all get excited, right? We all want to meet extraterrestrials, and we all want to talk about aliens, and we all want to talk about life on Mars, but the life we're truly talking about is building blocks of life.
Yes. No, I understand
is there a scientific view, certainly in the kind of the space community, about, obviously, why Earth is the only planet that we know of that has developed in the way that it has? Obviously, its proximity to the sun and not being too close and not being too far away helps. But why is it that there isn't anything else out there that so far we haven't found, anyway?
Well, I don't know that I'm smart enough to have a real answer, but I have my philosophy or my thought would be that, we don't know what happened prior to the solar system being in the positions that it's in today. If there was the Big Bang and explosions and collisions of things, stuff has been moving around for billions of years, and it just so happened that the Earth ended up in the orbit with the distance from the sun that allowed it to hold an atmosphere, and that atmosphere was comprised of basic elements that then morphed into what we have today. So, I'm not smart enough to know any of that, but I think it's very, I guess the word I might use is symmetrical, right? It's not happenstance. It's not chaotic. I think it's systematic.
Okay. Clayton, tell me this on a technical aspect of this latest mission. We all know that we've sent people to the moon, and we sent these machines to the moon, and then we've come back. If we send machines to Mars, which can run around on the surface of Mars and, dig scoops of rock out of the surface and all kind of stuff, will we be able to devise a method of them taking off from the surface of Mars and actually bringing the stuff back rather than having to interpret it all through signals from millions of miles away.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think that technology probably exists today. It becomes a problem of cost versus benefit.
Right, okay.
And the ability to send something there, let it dig up stuff, and then it can send us a signal back is way cheaper than designing a spaceship that goes and brings samples back. So,
but that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? If we had all the TV cameras suddenly focused in the air on a satellite coming back or a capsule, then if suddenly the parachutes come out, and then you say for the first time ever, this machine is returning from Mars with Mars rocks on it and all that kind of stuff, that would be quite sensational, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think so. I think it'd be absolutely amazing. And, to think that we want to send humans there, you'd better hope we've learned how to do that by then.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans expect to come back,
yeah.
And what about this rocket? Because we've seen in the more recent past, this plan to send rockets up and then bring them back down again. Is this rocket going to kind of send out these probes and then self-destruct or disappear into the ether?
Well, the one that went up with the orbiter and the Schiaparelli, I think, is a standard rocket designed from Russia, which means it's kind of old school. It goes up, the first stage burns out, and it drops wherever it drops and burns up in the atmosphere, and then the second stage lights and so on. So the two billionaires over here in America that are Musk and Jeff Bezos from Blue Origin, they're the ones that are trying to land that first stage back on the ground or somewhere such that they can reuse it. So I would imagine if they're able to do that on a regular basis safely with that technology, it'll be interesting to see if that becomes public domain technology like it would be if NASA did it, or whether they keep it secret.
Mm-hmm. And do you think we're getting pretty close now, or certainly we'd say within our lifetimes, of a sort of commercialised space travel thing? A lot of people, Richard Branson's working on something here, lots of people around the world are promising it, but it's not apparently getting particularly close. Do you think it will happen soon?
Well, I don't know about soon. I think we're closer than we used to be. I think that Virgin Galactic, they made a test and lost a pilot here about a year ago. And that's pushed them to the right, and I think they're even focusing more on scientific payloads rather than human beings for a while. And that's the risk to me. Someone's going to die in all this. That's just what statistics say. And the question for me is, when someone dies, are these billionaires going to take their money and their toys and go home and do something easier, or are they going to stay with it and fix it and continue?
No, I totally agree with you, Clayton. I think the idea that some people on Earth are now so wealthy and so rich because of our advanced society that they can use space travel for a bit of fun rather than donating all the resources we have to using space travel to explore the universe is morally indefensible to me. The guy can suddenly buy a space rocket and go up. That space rocket should be the property of mankind.
Hang on, you were talking about chartering a private jet the other day.
Hang on, not one billionaire who wants to play, a bit of fun in space and all that. Space travel and space research is there for the good of man.
Well, I understand what you're saying. Let me give you one slight perspective thought that may change your mind a little bit.
Yep.
Any of those people, whether they're billionaires, paying customers, if they go and they see the planet from space like I've seen it, it will change their attitudes. And if it changes, if that billion that they invest to go on a joyride in space changes their attitude toward the planet and forces them when they come back to think differently and perhaps call some of those other billionaires, and instead of spending more money on joyrides into space, they may spend that money to figure out ways to work to save the planet and stop polluting the planet and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I hear where you're coming from, but there could be a silver lining in that joyride philosophy to go to space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I understand that.
Porky's a bit of a flat earthist when it comes to the exploration of space, because, previously you've said that you don't think the government should waste any money exploring space because there's nothing out there.
No, I've said that.
Yeah,
I've said that in certain aspects of space research. But nevertheless, if we can reach the moon and we can build, big international space laboratories and centres, we should be doing more and more of that.
If you were offered an opportunity to invest in property on the moon, would you get involved in it?
No, because I don't think it'd appreciate very rapidly.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you out of this conversation, Clay. Let me ask you about the book, The Ordinary Spaceman. I mean, presumably in that you may espouse some of those views you've just told us about.
Well, it's more of a story of my life as an astronaut, my 15-year career. I don't get into too much about what we might do with the future. It's more about what happened to me and my family during my astronaut career. So I try to tell real-life stories of what it was like to be an astronaut, and to want to be and try to be and then become an astronaut. So.
And I mean, this may sound like a very stupid question, but I mean, when I was out in
probably is.
In Bosnia, I was rubbing shoulders with an awful lot of sort of professional war correspondents. I wasn't one of them. I did it like for a one hit only. And they found it very difficult when they came out of a war zone to go back and live like an ordinary life and pay the electricity bill and pay their tax bill. And, they always wanted to get back into a dangerous place. Did you find it really hard when you came back from space to just live on Earth?
Well, I think it was a little difficult at first, but I don't know that I was really gone long enough to make it such that it was a huge ordeal for me, but when I go outside and I look into the stars and the sky these days, I long to be back there. I think everyone that's tasted microgravity and flown in space wants to go back, but for me and my family, the penalty and the tax is too great. I don't want to go through that again because it takes me away from the people I love, and it's time for me to be here for them. As they were there for me when I went the first time.
Sure.
Great stuff.
Indeed.
Well, ladies and Clayton, best of luck with it. The book's called The Ordinary Spaceman. We'll keep tabs, Clayton. Of course, on the ExoMars project. You'll probably get some tips on it from your men in the Kremlin at some point throughout the course of the project, so you'll have to keep us updated on that.
Are you mad?
I'm going to ask you about space, actually, coming up next.
Okay.
This is Talk Sport.
Roll up, ladies and gentlemen, and prepare to be amazed and astounded by Colin Murray's Carnival of Curiosities, featuring a feast of fascinating facts and a farrago of fiendish falsehoods to untangle from the tantalising truths as Mr Murray delights and astonishes you with his assortment of amicable acquaintances. Don't miss Fact or Fiction every Thursday morning from 10 on Talk Sport with Regain for Men Extra Strength Scalp Foam, scientifically proven to help stop and even reverse hereditary hair loss. Contains minoxidil. Always read the label.
Paddy Bower complains.
Your Cheltenham offer is nonsense.
You mean this offer?
Money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second in all races at Cheltenham. That's every single race, every single day.
How am I supposed to come second in all races, you nincompoop?
Well, you don't have to come second in all races, but any race your horse does come second in, you get your money back.
Oh, right. That makes way more sense. Thanks, Paddy.
You're welcome.
Win and win part of each race, single bets only. Max free bet £25, valid for 7 days. Stake not included in winnings. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.co.uk.
Repeat after me. I, Isabella Lopez, do solemnly swear.
I, Isabella Lopez, do solemnly swear.
Yes, to apply for the marriage allowance tax break.
To apply for the marriage allowance tax break.
And save up to £212 a year. If you're married or in a civil partnership and one of you earns less than £10,600 and the other pays basic rate tax, there is up to £212 of tax savings waiting for you to claim. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply at gov.uk/marriage allowance.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on Talk Sport with the new Ford Ranger. It's the breakfast show that's always ready to take on any challenge.
Join me, Alan Brazil, and a different co-host every weekday morning from 6 a.m. as we tackle all the big stories of the day.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6 on Talk Sport with the new Ford Ranger. Ruthlessly tested across the harshest terrain on Earth. Find out more at ford.co.uk.
We've really got the best of the best here today.
We're really pleased with it.
Yeah.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up in the next hour, winners and losers, of course. It's 5.5, 4.5 to me, and time is running out. So we'll also be maybe coming up this week doing a bit of more tennis commentary because the tennis is back at Indian Wells.
Over there on the
tour.
Bit of a shock there tonight,
Your beloved Maria Sharapova. What was the shock?
Andy Murray went out.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see
Did
that.
you know that?
No, I didn't.
You're not up with things. You're not keeping, you're not taking notice. I mean, I'm ailing very badly with the very heavy cold. Only a third of my heart works, and yet I can keep right up to date with the events around the world.
Who beat him?
Sorry?
Who beat him?
A guy from Argentina.
What's his name?
It's irrelevant.
I don't think it is.
I didn't need to remember that fact.
I see. Okay.
No.
Stephen says this. The two teams to win... Oh, sorry, we already said that. The two teams to win the FA Cup 3 times in a row, Wanderers FC and Blackburn Rovers. How about this from Chipman, though?
Yes.
He says Porky should have shown some of that spirit he talked about and offered to buy it off them. He's talking about that bet for the price he took, man of the people. So what you're saying is, I don't know if that would have been allowed for you to have given the guy, say, 30 grand, and you could have kept the bet on, and if they'd won at the end of the year, you'd get 100,000.
Well, pretty good idea, but he'd cashed his bet in by then, to be honest. But that's not a bad idea at all.
Right.
I might have thought of that.
Now, Alex says this.
Yes.
Great respect for coming to work sick and not taking the easy option off.
Thank you.
A sick call, a true English man.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that, actually, Alec. I mean, I'm afraid that, the dangers of now Porky infecting me and everybody else who's working with him shows great irresponsibility, I would have thought.
Is that what you think?
That's what I think.
Well, listen, I'm very honest.
I find a cure between now and tomorrow night.
I'm a very honest person. I like to approach life on the basis that everything I do is genuine and honest. And talking about honesty, I've seen some...
What about the time you took that guy's cup final tickets?
Oh, don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it.
No, that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
I've been studying a survey about who the most honest people in the world are.
Oh, yeah.
And we're very close to the top.
Wait, what, you and I?
Yes. Well, no, us Brits.
So they got you at the top. They've got a big problem. If you come in coughing and spluttering tomorrow night, I may have to wear one of those Japanese-style masks.
Don't worry, I hope to be better by tomorrow, because I'm going on an intensive course of treatment over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, why don't you lock yourself in a steam room or something like that?
I can't, because we've got work to do tomorrow. We have things to do.
No, but you can go to a steam room, go and find a steam room and sit in it for a couple of hours. It'd do you good.
Don't know if that'd do you any good.
Yeah, it would.
The British are the second most honest nation in the world.
Really?
Yes.
According to whom?
According to the research that I've looked at, 2 UK-based academics have spent several years asking more than 2,500 students from 23 countries about their responses to honesty in countries they've worked in and studied in.
Yeah, so it's just basically people's opinions.
Well, no, it's people's experiences, which is the good thing. Now, guess who's the only country that comes above the UK?
I would say America.
Well, actually, it's not. It's Lithuania.
Lithuania?
And the list of the most honest countries is 1, Lithuania.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been to Lithuania, actually. No, I've been to Latvia.
I don't think I have.
No. 2nd, UK.
Oh, of course you've been to Latvia. That's where that drug comes from, what Maria Sharapova was taking.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it just?
Yeah, 3rd one is Sweden.
Sweden?
Which I can believe. Svenka.
What about Canada? I mean, Canada's full of people who are terribly honest and straightforward.
Hang on, 4th is Germany.
Quite boring.
4th is Germany. 4th is Germany.
Germany,
yeah. And the 5th is Italy.
See, things aren't going too well for Angela Merkel at the moment.
No, they're not, are they? She's, in these regional elections, she's getting battered all over the place, I'm afraid. Yeah,
she is.
And the 5th is Italy. Now, I'm not saying Italian people are dishonest. What?
I'm just waiting to see what's coming next.
Well, they're very manana, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's Spanish, isn't it, manana?
Yeah, it is manana, but it means we'll put it off till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't make you dishonest.
Well,
makes you more honest, actually.
No, it does a bit, in the sense that, have we finished that job that we needed to do in the driveway? Have we laid the... No, manana.
Don't you think that there's a difference between whichever part of Italy you're in, though? For example, I mean, there's a great deal of what they would call sort of prejudice between the north and the south.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
The southerners always feel like the northerners are sort of lording it over them. And
looking down on them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. There is a bit of that.
How many different parts of Italy have you been to?
I've been to Rome.
Yeah.
Milano, yeah. You've been to Turin, probably. Torino, I've been there several times.
Been to Napoli?
Never been to Napoli.
Naples is a very interesting place.
No,
I found it quite menacing.
Really? I've been to Naples. I've been to Naples. The Bay of Naples and all that.
The Bay of Naples, yeah. Well, it's beautiful because you can see Vesuvius.
Yeah.
And you go to Pompeii and all of that.
That's lovely.
Ischia, it's a beautiful island.
I've been to Sardinia.
Okay.
Spent the World Cup in
not really
Sardinia.
Italy, is it?
Well, it is. It is.
I mean, it's part of Italy.
It's Italian.
It's an island.
Island, that's right, yeah. And where else have I been?
Have you got new headphones, by the way?
No.
I've just noticed a big silver kind of... sort of orb on the side of one of your headphones.
Well, you haven't been looking properly, have you?
Why have I never noticed that before?
I don't know. Because
I think you've got new headphones.
Because you're half-baked.
No, I think you've got new headphones.
I haven't got new headphones.
I think you have.
I haven't been to all these places where Prince Charles goes painting. What are they called?
Hey?
In Italy.
Umbria.
Umbria?
Tuscany.
That's the place, Tuscany, yeah. good food, apparently.
Well, all the food in Italy's good.
Is it?
Yeah, but not that you would care.
I like pizza.
That's Talk Sport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
What's the matter, you? Hey, gotta no respect. What do you think you do? Why you look so sad? It's not so bad. It's a nicer place. Ah, shut up, your face. That's my mom, I can remember. Big accordion solo.
It's not very Italian, that, but it sounds Italian, doesn't it?
That was Australian Italian, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
That was Joe Deppy?
Joe, no, not Joe Deppy.
What was his name?
Dolce, wasn't it?
Joe Dolce? Yeah, Joe Dolce.
Which wasn't his real name, of course.
No.
Mal says this, if Porky's going to die on air, can you ask him to do it quietly, please?
Yeah, well, I'm really sorry about that.
But then he adds something else. This is quite a good idea for tomorrow, actually. MG should hire another studio for Porky to broadcast from, then you won't get infected. Also, you can cut him off when he starts ranting.
You're not going to get infected. You've had a cold for about a month, you told me.
I haven't had a cold for a month.
Yeah, you did.
Well, no, I did have a cold.
That's what I'm
saying. Was a kind of it wasn't really a cold. It was a kind of persistent sort of, just throaty kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my nose. I mean, I've been fortunate this winter actually.
Well, I haven't had it.
Normally I get at least one sort of runny nose type cold.
Well, I
haven't had that this year.
I normally get a flu, and I got 2 last year, and it was really off-putting.
Yeah, but you had a jab last year, and you still got it.
I had a jab last year and still got it. I didn't have a jab this year because I was told the jabs become useless, and I thought I'd got right through the winter without a cold. And then, funnily enough, I stayed in for 2 days last week, and at the end of the second day, I suddenly started developing a cold. I have no idea where it came from.
Do you think it was the change in temperature? Because it was quite mild in the week.
The strangest thing is, there's been this lifelong debate. Oh, where do you get a cold from?
Yeah.
Does it come from an airborne, bug infection, or if you wash your hair and don't dry it properly and go out in the cold, do you get a cold? People tell me, no, you don't.
I think both of those are true, actually.
Well,
I think you can get it both ways.
The funny thing is, I did on the morning that it all started go out after coming out of the shower and going out into the cold.
Yeah.
And I can only think it must have been that, you know. I mean,
I think there's no doubt. Like, for example, if you get caught in a rainstorm and you get soaking wet and it's cold. I mean, I remember once playing golf in at Glen Eagles.
Yeah.
And it was so cold and we got wet as well. That by the time we came in, we ended up going into the sauna to warm up. I had to sit in a sauna for about 20 minutes, which normally would fry you.
Yeah, sure.
It was only then I actually felt warm.
To dry out.
And I mean, that's the kind of thing that you can get cold from, I think.
Well, Ian St John, the great ex-Liverpool footballer, and Saint and Greaves, the TV show and all that. I read his book once, and his dad died of pneumonia when he was about 13 after they went to a football match, stood on the terraces in pouring rain.
Yeah.
There was no roof in those days.
Yeah.
They went home, his father contracted the most terrible cold, and then got pneumonia and died.
Yeah.
And
it must be related.
Well, it can't just be a coincidence, can it?
I mean, there's no question that the common cold is a virus of some kind.
Yeah.
But I think you can still get it from
I think
now, a couple more texts for you here.
Right, go on.
One from Alan. Has Porky been on another planet since 1969? Of course they can bring Earth or rock back from Mars. They brought back moon dust and rock way back then.
No, they haven't. They have never brought rock back from Mars. This is my whole point.
No, but he's saying they brought it from the moon.
Of course they brought it from the moon. I've seen a bit of moon rock in museums and that kind of stuff.
There's some in the Science Museum.
Yeah, there is, absolutely. And, of course, we know all that. So please don't send in these messages trying to mock my intelligence if you get your facts wrong.
OK.
The point is we've never... all these machines that go to Mars, they normally crash on landing, right?
Well, one did.
Yeah, one did. And
the Beagle.
The Beagle, that's right, and all that kind of stuff, right? So all I'm saying is... if we could actually bring it back, can you imagine seeing as I say, the old space capsule suddenly breaks through?
Yeah, but I mean, you're describing
the
landings of those Apollo missions.
That's right.
Like everything else is trapped in your 1970s brain.
No, it's not, mate.
Where there's a parachute, there's a little kind of triangular-looking, space module. For God's sake.
Yeah, well, that's what used to happen.
Yeah, I know, but that used to happen, but that doesn't happen anymore, does it?
If they could
They don't bring it back like that.
No, if they could bring it back from Mars now, it would have to be like that.
Why?
Well, because you can't suddenly launch the Challenger and ask it to go a million miles more.
Yeah, but they could bring it back maybe they could bring it back to the space station and they could examine it there.
No, they couldn't.
Why not?
They haven't got technology to do that.
Of course they have. What do you think the space station's for?
They cannot.
What do you think they do? Just sit around like they're playing drafts?
No, they research and explore space. But what I'm saying is, they cannot.
Yeah, of course, it's a lab. It's a laboratory in space.
I don't know what you're talking about the space station for. I'm talking about getting to Mars and back, and you can't get there and back in the same craft because it can't take off from Mars.
So you think they could come back in some kind of ridiculous Apollo pod from the 60s with a parachute?
No, there won't be men in it. It'll just be a load of Mars rock, and that's all we want. We want to see the rock.
Right.
I'll tell you what they should do.
See the time.
They should find a couple of criminals who've got life sentences in American jails, but who are quite intelligent.
No.
And tell them
it's a bad idea.
This is the deal. This is the deal, right? It's either life without parole in San Quentin.
Oh, it's off to Mars. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
Hey, everybody. I'm Tom Petty. Right now, I'm retuning my guitar. But you don't need to do that. You need to retune your DAB radio. Because when you do, you'll receive a whole bunch of great new radio stations like Talk Sport 2, Talk Radio, and Virgin Radio starting this month. It'll take less time than it took me to write the Traveling Wilburys 2 album, which wasn't very long. To find out more, go to talksport.com/retune. Thank you very much. 'Cause I'm retuning. You see what I did there? Hey, chalk that.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. You can find us on Twitter at the two mics, and of course you can find us on Facebook as well. And when we do Ask Porky tomorrow, Facebook has become a real venue for lots of things. Over the weekend, of course, we publicised our latest little TV clip, which you can find on Two Mics TV, of you doing your bit for the gorilla world.
You see, I've had responses to that. I think it's disgraceful because you threw a banana at me at the end.
Well, because that's what gorillas eat.
And you mocked every answer that I gave to every question about the environment.
I didn't ask you any questions.
I was posing the questions and the answers.
Yeah, exactly. It's the usual Porky scenario.
And all you did was mock, and I think people will find you're a disgrace.
Hogging the limelight. If you haven't seen it, go to Two Mics TV. We'll put it out again probably on Twitter, and it's also on Facebook as well.
All I tried to do was I put on the mask of a gorilla to perform as a gorilla.
It's not spelt Grilla. Gorilla.
To perform as a gorilla, so that people could see that I was trying to actually bring home the problems with the survival of the gorilla in environments which are being chopped down.
Yeah, but
like
they're being
forests
poached,
and things.
They're being poached
and
as
being poached
which
as
I don't
well.
think you mentioned, actually.
So, and all you could do was mock at every turn. You were facetious.
Not true.
You were, rather unkind to my efforts, and people have spotted it, and they're going to do you for it, believe me.
Well, again, with the violence, there's always some violent undertone to what you talk about. Now, what about the duck story today as well? Did you see that? A few hours ago, it came out on all various
about
news
what
outlets.
You feed ducks?
Well, no, it was all about how the campaign to stop people feeding bread to ducks is starting to pay off, and fewer people are now feeding ducks bread.
How many millions of times have we been through that? How many millions of times, eh?
Well, I mean, one of these days you might accept that the common wisdom now is that you don't give bread to ducks.
Well, I'm sorry, but I, again, have, a differing view on that.
Okay.
And I've consulted experts.
Have you?
And I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, all the experts say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Now, Derek from South Wales,
from Pencoed.
Well, funnily enough, he sent a text in from somewhere else.
Oh, I see.
Now, I don't know if this means he's working somewhere else. Pontyclun.
Pontyclun?
Where's that?
I don't know.
Pontyclun. I presume it's not far from Pencoed.
Well, I suppose it's not far from Pontypridd.
Well, it might not be, I don't know.
Because Ponty probably means sort of point, you know what I mean?
It means town, doesn't it?
Town. Could mean town, yeah.
Here's one, anyway, this is what he says. It says, Mike, instead of asking is there life on Mars, we should ask is there life between Porky's ears?
Oh, that's very funny.
Here's one from Johnny, who says it would kill Porky to have to take a sick day tomorrow. And here's one from Hackman, who says, Porky, you and the spaceman got on very well. Fancy a new job. # Spaceman Porky. Well, I noticed you didn't say to him that you've actually qualified as an astronaut as well.
Well,
for flying on Concorde.
Well, I mean, my astronaut qualification is a different category to his.
Well, completely different. His is real and yours isn't.
No, mine is anybody goes over 60,000 feet, as I did in the Concorde once, can claim astronaut status.
Not true. That's not true.
Is true.
It isn't.
It's true.
Here's one from Anthony. Big thanks to Porky for soldiering on for the good of the people.
Thank you.
One mic with a guest isn't the same when either of you is off.
Thank you.
I think that's true.
I should think so as well.
And William says, I didn't hear Porky mention Sicily. Surprised with his long crime sheet. He hasn't got contacts with the mafia.
Well, Sicily's owned by France, isn't it? Is
what?
that Corsica?
That's Corsica.
Corsica.
It's nowhere near Sicily. Sicily's at the foot of the boot.
I know that.
You know, it's fired off at the end.
No, I'll tell you what I'll talk to you about,
I was thinking about going to Sicily on holiday, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
Excuse me. Now, what I want to talk to you about...
What do you want to talk to me about?
Is... you often complain sometimes at weekends when I'm trying to get hold of you that you don't get me signal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
now,
well, it's not a good signal.
Now, did you know that a poor Wi-Fi signal in the home can affect the value of the home by up to 20%?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because there are large swathes of the country where Wi-Fi is not as good as other places, right?
Yes, I know that, yeah, but what I'm saying is...
Because the government bleats on about how they're going to make Wi-Fi available around the country, 3G, 4G, all of that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's huge swathes of the country where you can't get 3G or 4G.
Here, how about this? These are typical responses from people looking to buy a house and all that.
Yeah.
I was in Norfolk the other day and I had to drive 10 miles to get a signal.
Norfolk?
Yeah, Norfolk,
I don't think anybody went there.
No chance of buying that house. Another person, I was on a walking holiday in North Wales.
Yeah.
And it was only when I got back to the outskirts of Greater Manchester that I could find a signal.
Yeah, Snowdonia is meant to be pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Parts of Sussex are completely ridiculous. Dorset as well. I used to go down to Dorset quite a lot, right? There are parts of Dorset you can't get any kind of signal at all. On anything.
Well, it says here, somebody here says, I once spent 48 hours in a far-flung village near Fife, right?
Yeah.
Or in Fife. Fife's a county, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Trying to
it's
get
actually the Kingdom of Fife, it's known as.
Kingdom of Fife, that's right, yeah. Trying to get hold of somebody in Dorking, in Surrey. No chance at all.
Right.
Completely cut off from the world.
Yeah. But that's different from Wi-Fi, though. I mean, Wi-Fi is controlled by other things, isn't it?
Well, hang on, this is the same thing, isn't it?
Well, they're talking about mobile phone signals, aren't you?
Well, they don't specify. They just say far-flung village, trying to get on my sister in Dorking.
Well, they're by telephone, presumably.
Well, I suppose so, but I mean...
Well, there's a big difference.
What's the difference?
Well, the Wi-Fi is what goes on. It's the broadband that you have inside your dwelling or inside your office. I mean, the Wi-Fi in here is not very good.
Yes.
And we're in the middle of London. But I suspect that's more to do with what's going on in here than what's going on outside.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can get Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere. But what you can't get is 3G, 4G, and sometimes a telephone signal.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean?
It says here. There's a site called cable.co.uk. Digital inequality is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Says Dan Howdle of cable.co.uk.
Really?
Yeah. What's your problem? Huh?
It's just the way you read it out.
Right, hang on. What, you mean because I phonetically pronounce my words?
Well, no, it's just because you read it as if you're reading it for the first time.
No.
And the point is surely you've read this already once before. But I don't think you have.
Yeah, of course I have. Now, it says here there is a danger that digital black holes will suffer economic decline as homes become less desirable and businesses are unable to sustain themselves without an effective online presence. Is the situation that bad? After all, it's often the showplace of life in pretty villages such as Mizardon. And Mizardon in Gloucestershire is said to be the worst connected community in this country.
Really?
It tops the list in terms of excruciating internet speed. The average speed is 1.3 megabytes per second, followed by Ashwell in Hertfordshire. Well, I'm going to tell you now, 1.39, and Ulverston in Cumbria, 1.45.
Yeah, the Lake District, I'm told, is not particularly good.
That's right, Cumbria.
No, is this Wi-Fi you're talking about?
Yeah, Wi-Fi,
Are you sure?
Of course I am.
I don't think you are.
I am. What else could I be talking about?
Well, I think you're sure not talking about 3G.
No.
You're talking about Wi-Fi. Broadband.
Let me see.
Or are you talking about something else?
I'm talking about internet connections.
Yeah, internet connections, yeah. But I mean, if you've got Wi-Fi inside your house...
Yeah.
Surely that should be as fast as you want it to be.
No, it's not always the case. Now, you said...
But why is that the case?
Well, I'm going to explain this to you. Now, you said, OK, what does 1.3 megabytes per second mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Well, at the other end of the scale, residents in Rickmansworth in Hertfordshire...
I know Rickmansworth.
...enjoy average broadband speeds of, get this...
Go on.
77.1 megabytes per second.
Really?
Yeah.
77 versus 3?
Yes.
Wow.
60 times faster than their less fortunate counterparts in remote villages, OK?
Right.
And that's the way it is. That's the way it is, unless you get yourself sorted. I mean, how would you check out on the broadband speed of a place when you go and look at the house?
Well, there's a website that you can go on, right. Which tells you what your broadband speed is, because some people have complained about this in the past, where your broadband sort of supplier will say to you, this is the speed of your broadband, and then when you check it, 9 times out of 10, it's not that.
Right.
What are you making these weird noises for?
Well, I'm just agreeing with you.
No, you're not. But you're not listening, though.
I am. Yes,
you're not listening.
I am.
What did I say?
You said there's a broadband site. You can check out the speed of the digital.
There is.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
Now, have you got any rashes?
I'm not answering a question like that.
The reason I ask you is because Becky, who, as you know, is a medical practitioner, says, don't let Porky Google Lyme disease symptoms very similar to his current symptoms. Can you check him for rashes? You might have Lyme disease.
No. I know what Lyme disease is.
Are you sure you haven't got a rash anywhere?
Definitely not.
I'm sorry, it's a personal question. I don't mean that.
No.
And here's one from Robert in Birmingham. He says, Porky, if you're going to feed the ducks, at least give them what's good for them. Banging on about caring for animals and then saying it's okay to feed them bread. Total cobblers. You plank.
I do.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't. This is Talk Sport.
Get a generous helping of the latest odds and tasty tips from the Cheltenham Festival with Paddy's Punts. All this week on Drive on TalkSport with Paddy Power. You're welcome. The Nouse on the Novices Hurdle, the Crack on the Champion Bumper, the Going on the Gold Cup, and lashings of Paddy's famous generosity. Get your tips straight from the horse's mouth with Paddy's Punts all this week on Drive from 4 on TalkSport with Paddy Power. For every race on every day of the Cheltenham Festival, it's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second. Max £25 per race. Exclusions and conditions apply. 18 plus, gamble aware.
Repeat after me. I, Colin Hinchcliffe, do solemnly swear.
I, Colin Hinchcliffe, do solemnly swear.
To apply for the marriage allowance tax break.
To apply for the marriage allowance tax break.
And save up to £212 a year. If you're married or in a civil partnership and one of you earns less than £10,600 and the other pays basic rate tax, there is up to £212 of tax savings waiting for you to claim. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply at gov.uk/marriage allowance.
Hey, terms and conditions, man, you seem a little stressed.
I am. My motor is due its MOT and it needs new tyres, bulbs and wipers, and all sorts of other terms and conditions apply.
Have a peek on eBay. You'll definitely be able to find the right part for your motor. What they don't have isn't worth having, and it's a bargain too.
Really? Is it participating stores only?
It's on the web. It means you can chill out. You do come across as a bit uptight.
OK, great. Please remember that all parts of my motor and nodding dogs within my vehicle are mine and I reserve all rights.
All right.
Whatever you need for your MOT, you'll always find the right part on eBay. Visit eBay today.
Terms and conditions apply.
No, they don't.
UEFA Champions League football live on Talk Sport. Come on! Kicking off tonight from 7 with full updates of Manchester City's clash with Dynamo Kiev.
It's a goal!
Tomorrow night from 7, full match commentary of Barcelona versus Arsenal.
What a goal!
UEFA Champions League football live on Talk Sport with Direct Line Van Insurance. For de facto 5-star rated van insurance, search Direct Line Van.
Hawksby and Jacobs.
It doesn't work at all.
This afternoon from 1.
Oh, Andy, that's very harsh on a fellow presenter.
Talk Sport.
We've teamed up with Barclays to inspire the next generation of young fans. Each week we're offering young fans the unforgettable experience of attending their first ever match. This week we're giving away a pair of tickets to Sunday's game, Southampton versus Liverpool at St Mary's Stadium. So if you know a young Saints fan that you'd like to take along to their first match, answer this question.
That's right. The question is, which England full-back did Liverpool sign from Southampton in June 2015? Was it A, John Flanagan, or was it B, Nathaniel Clyne? Now text the word FIRST, that's F-I-R-S-T, followed by A for Flanagan or B for Clyne to 81089. Tickets are in the home end. I stress the home end. Competition closes at 5 p.m. this Wednesday.
And as with all TalkSport competitions, text costs 50p and standard network charges apply. Head to talksport.com for full terms and conditions. And we'll also get you on air this Sunday to tell us all about your experience.
That's right, we will. Now get texting now to play first games on TalkSport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game.
And don't forget, of course, it's TalkSport 2's launch later on this morning from 10 o'clock down at Cheltenham. John McCruick's involved, who's also on the Sports Breakfast, so there'll be loads of that going on. You just have to retune your DAB radio to find it. A couple of tweets in about your cough.
Yes.
Paul says, how many cigarettes has Porky been through at the weekend? Sounds like he's had over 60 with that cough.
Yes.
Smoker's cough. Lord Rallo says,
I didn't have any cigarettes.
Based on tonight's epic Porky performance, I'm sure there'll be a Porky's Cough Twitter account coming soon. Hashtag Porky's Cough.
No, not at all. I'm sorry. It's just a bit of a distraction. I didn't have any cigarettes over the weekend. I don't smoke. That's just a wild rumour put to you by
well, we do have
MG.
a picture of us smoking on the front of the DVD, don't we?
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a posed picture.
Is it?
You know, of course it is.
Yeah, okay. What about the pictures of you smoking outside the Hen and Chickens?
Well, that was after a period of stressfulness.
Yes,
you know,
of
for
course.
that particular night. That's
Yeah,
all.
and there was another one of us smoking
30...
outside Joe Allen's as well. Actually.
Sorry?
There was another one of us smoking outside Joe Allen's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the evidence is beginning to build up. Chris says, Wi-Fi is inside your house, also in restaurants, etc. Porky's talking about mobile signal coverage. Rural areas are tough.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm talking about both, really, because one is very much dependent on the other, is it not?
Ian says, I just watched Porky Save the Grilla campaign, Grilla.
Yeah.
He's completely off his rocker, but you've got to love him all the same.
Really? All I'm trying to do is highlight the plight of the gorillas.
And here's another one from Chris. I don't know if he's some kind of expert, but he's a senior fellow for regulatory policy and Family Research Council in Washington, D.C., listening from America. He says now he's talking about the cable broadband speed to one's house. The Wi-Fi speed can't exceed the speed of one's cable or fibre optic line.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And Keith says internet speed is measured in bits, not bytes, you plank, Porky.
That's what I said.
You said bytes.
It is megabytes.
Bytes? Well, he says it's bits.
Megabits?
It should be megabits.
Megabits, yes.
What is it,
megabits.
bits or bytes?
It's bits. It's
really?
Bits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stuart in Air says Porky's idea to send convicts to Mars was genius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it is, yeah. Why not?
And Winford says, MG, I think Mike Parry should be ill more often, as you can get a word in edgewise. He's not shouting at you and talking over you as much. What heaven it is.
That is, by the way, the plot of the Dirty Dozen.
What is?
The idea that you send criminals off on...
What, into space?
Suicide missions, not into space.
Dirty Dozen's not about space.
No, it's about suicide
film,
missions. No. The Dirty Dozen was
a war film, isn't it?
War film with...
Lee Marvin, wasn't it?
Lee Marvin.
Yeah.
The guy was found clinging onto the roof of his mate's car on the way home one night.
I tell you, it was a great film he was in called Point Blank. Did you ever see that?
No,
I think they remade it a few years ago.
Oh, really?
But the original one is fantastic. It's about this guy who comes out of prison, I think, played by him, and he's this kind of hard guy.
Yeah.
And he's somehow been ripped off by his fellow kind of robbers.
Yeah, I see. While he was in jail.
Yeah, while he was in jail. And he goes looking for the money, and it turns out that all of these guys are in the mob. And he basically works his way up from the most junior all the way to the top guy.
Yes.
And just basically kills them all.
Really?
In one way or another. And threatens them with all sorts of terrible
Sounds
violence.
rather nasty.
It's a very nasty film, but very good.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, I'm
highly
sure
recommended. By the way,
Yes.
I have to say, I've now caught up fully with The Night Manager.
Yes.
And I'm calling it the best TV I've seen in a very long time.
Well, you see, I put you onto it, didn't I, with my TV reviews?
You did.
Yeah.
But I thought, you did say it was called The Midnight Man initially, but it's very good.
Yes, and there's some rather explicit physical action, isn't there?
There is quite a bit of rogering going on.
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah. But I mean, one of the things it is doing, though,
Yes.
is reconnecting me with Mallorca, because the scenes in Mallorca are just amazing.
They are, aren't they?
Really beautiful.
Yes, stunning.
Might have to go
stunning.
there instead of Sicily.
Oh, well, there you go then,
Yeah.
you see. That's another new episode, new chapter of your reinvention.
Yeah, well, indeed. You've got to reinvent yourself constantly.
Well, I totally agree with you. Now,
You know.
listen, I was talking to you there about places that you shouldn't live because of Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I've also found a chart which lists the 20, I don't know why it's called this, hippest places in Britain.
Hippest?
Yeah, hippest,
All right, okay.
yeah. And there's some very, very strange, like, for instance...
A lot of them in Cornwall, I bet.
No, how about this?
Where?
Finnieston, Glasgow.
Finnieston, yeah.
Where's-
Finnieston Quay. I
no,
used to
where's
work
that?
there.
Right.
Well, Finnieston is sort of down, where the Daily Record office is.
Yes.
It's not far from there. That's
Yeah.
Anderson Quay.
Yeah.
It's kind of down along
Isn't
a little bit further.
Kelvin Park down there as well?
Kelvin Grove, yeah.
Kelvin Grove, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah. Yeah, not a name to conjure with.
Yeah.
But it says the buzzing...
Well, the whole west end of Glasgow, Byers Road and all of that.
Well, that's right.
It's very sort of trendy.
It says the buzzing neighbourhood was once home to warehouses and docks.
Yeah.
Head for SWG3, which
Yeah.
I suppose is South West Glasgow 3,
Yeah.
for clubbing and live music.
Uh-huh.
Host the Electric Frog Music Festival.
Right.
The Turner Prize nominee Jim Lambie built the Poetry Club Bar. Have you been there?
No.
A hub for performance, spoken word and billows of smoke, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But it says...
Well,
that-
do you know when you're driving in from the airport,
Yeah.
right, and you see the Armadillo, which
Yeah.
is the SECC,
Yes.
which is where the big bands play, right?
Yes.
You'll see that big sort of shipbuilding crane there as well.
Yes, I know,
That's,
yeah.
It's kind of that sort of area.
I
you're
see,
talking
yeah.
about.
So there you go. Now, what about this one? Tottenham, London.
Tottenham? Tottenham?
Yeah.
Tottenham is not trendy, surely.
OK, Tottenham's had its fair share of problems, but did you know that it also has a
Well,
micro
like the
dairy?
riots?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, like when it got torn to pieces, they burnt it down.
Yeah.
It says you can grab a flat on an industrial estate at Craving Coffee, presently featuring a Japanese street food pop-up. I know, it just goes on about it. But anyway, it says it's really up and coming. Really up and coming.
Well, I'm always very, very wary of anyone that says this area is really up and coming. It generally means it's a dump.
Yeah, I totally agree. Another one listed here, which you might know about, Dundee.
Dundee, yes.
Dundee.
I've not spent a great deal of time in Dundee. I've only ever driven through it on my way to Carnoustie to play golf.
It says Dundee is Britain's coolest little city. The new V&A Museum of Design is due to open in 2018 in a building by the Japanese architect Kengo Kuma, as well as tech geeks. Dundee is a centre for video games. Grand Theft Auto started in Dundee.
Hey, how about this? I'm looking at Finniston Quay here, right? You get a 5-bedroom flat there for guess how much?
200,000.
Very good. 240,000.
240,000.
5 bedrooms.
I know, that's amazing.
That's a big flat, isn't it?
There's a place here called Oosburn in Newcastle. One of the cheapest cities in which to live in the UK and to buy a pint in, but regeneration efforts are paying off. The Oosburn Valley, post-industrial wasteland.
Well, where's that? I mean, that's your neck of the woods. You know about that.
Yeah, I don't know where
it is.
I don't know where it is, to be honest. I'm just trying to figure out in my head where that might be. Somewhere on the edge of... I mean, look, they've got other places like the Lakes by You, YOO, in Cotswolds.
Right.
They've got Penzance in Cornwall.
I told you there'd be a place in
They've
Cornwall.
got Crowborough.
Crowborough, yeah.
They've got...
Good golf was there.
But then they've got some inner city places like...
Have they not got, like, sort of Hoxton and Shoreditch and all that?
No. But they've got Canton.
Canton?
Canton.
Isn't that Switzerland?
No, it's Cardiff.
Cardiff?
I thought you used to work there.
Well, I did, yeah.
More hip and multicultural than neighbouring...
It's a long time. When we go back to Cardiff in May for the show at the Tram Shed, I don't think I've been to Cardiff for probably the best part of, I would say, 10 or 12 years.
10 years. Well, do you know Pontcanna?
Yes.
Right. Well, it says more hip and multicultural than neighbouring Pontcanna, which is home to BBC journalists and the Chatterati.
Yeah.
Canton
There's
is...
a lot of that down there.
Yeah, Canton is to the west of the city and popular with graduates who stay on after university. Chapter Arts Centre and places like that.
Yeah. Great city, Cardiff.
The Boneyard. You know the Boneyard?
The Boneyard. It rings a bell, yeah.
Well, there you go.
How about this from Simon in Sheffield? Don't send convicts to Mars. They'll come back in 100 years and beat us at cricket and rugby.
Yeah, they probably will.
That's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Right, now then, what was I going to say to you?
I don't know.
Yes, I was going to say...
Oh, here we go. Yes, Saud says it's called Payback. The remake was with Mel Gibson.
Oh, right,
I'm assuming that was the Point Blank remake.
OK, fine. You talk to me all the time about my Russian contacts, right? Yes. A Russian multi-millionaire, right, which I found out over the weekend, really thinks that he's a billionaire, actually, and he's only 35. He thinks that, he's sponsoring a group of scientists who can create the human that never dies by 2045.
Who's sponsoring this?
This Russian billionaire
what's
called...
his name?
Dmitry Itzkov.
Itzkov? Oh, right. And what's his
background?
You know,
like Mykoff. It's Itzkov.
Oh, Itzkov.
Yeah, Itzkov.
Very good.
Itskov.
Yeah.
And what happens is, during the course of your life, you actually...
Hey, by the way, I meant to mention, I know that people don't want to mention Everton too much, but the new investor was up there at the weekend.
Yes, he was, yeah.
Some people said they thought he looked a bit like me.
A bit like you.
Yeah. Well, he's similar. I think it's because he's got similar glasses.
A bit ridiculous, that, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Mr Kenwright was there. It's nice to see him there. What this guy can do is, during the course of a lifetime, he can transfer all the neurons in the brain into a robot brain.
What?
They believe the brain operates in the same way as a computer and can be transferred to a variety of bodies. The aim is to recreate a person's appearance as a hologram, carrying their personality. The brain neutrons will be transferred into a metal brain, which will then live forever.
Your brain will be put into a robot?
Yeah. It can live forever.
Imagine?
It can live forever.
Can you imagine? What name would it have? The Porky Robot.
Well, I don't know. But it can happen. It can happen.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be possible. Before the end of this century, the content of your brain...
you'll be dead before the end of this century.
The content of your brain can be replicated and put into a metal brain,
by the end of this week,
which will live forever. How about that? Huh?
I can't imagine anything worse than your brain inside a robot forever.
Well, you won't have to imagine it, will you?
God.
You'll die of abuse a long time before that.
I'm going to tell you about pigeons coming up in a little while. But next, it's winners and losers. This is Talk Sport. Sport. We are the two mics, and it is that time of the week when we get stuck into the most controversial competition in Talk Sport history.
Yes.
And, of course, what I have to do now is ask you whether you want to go first with the losers or first with the winners. It's always your choice.
I think I'll go first with the losers.
OK, well, in that case, off you go. What are they?
Right, my losers. The first loser, Martin Atkinson, who was the referee for the Manchester United-West Ham game.
Uh-huh.
He had an appalling game. Ask Graham Pole or anybody like that who's what you'd call a ref's commentator these days, and they'll say it was one of the worst refereeing performances I've seen this season. He got penalty calls wrong.
Yeah.
He didn't book people when he should have done. He booked people when he shouldn't have done.
He missed a red card.
He missed a red card. Mr Atkinson had a very, very poor game.
Which was perhaps the strangest one of all, because it happened right in front of him.
Yes, exactly. And that's, people who've got double vision or something like that, OK? My second loser...
Bit obvious, I'd have to say.
Sorry?
Bit obvious.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a very, very solid loser, because I'm going to be extremely practical about these, OK? Now, the second loser is billionaire Mr Roman Abramovich.
Oh, Mr Roman Abramovich.
Yes, because he bought the club in order to become a champion of Europe, which he succeeded in doing. Yeah. However, part of the plan was never 2 seasons later, or 3 seasons later, to suddenly slip out of the Champions League contention altogether, to lose out in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and to be so far down the Premier League, no chance whatsoever of getting into European competition next season. Yeah. He is my second loser, because he has invested nearly £1 billion in Chelsea.
Yes.
That's a huge price to pay to be a loser. And my third loser, and actually I like this one better than perhaps the first two, the idiotic American actor Matt LeBlanc, who spent all of yesterday in a car which was roaring round Whitehall, which is a sacred location in this country because it houses the cenotaph.
Yes.
The cenotaph is where we pay our respects to the war dead of this country.
Indeed.
And he mocked and derided the very stage upon which he was performing for a tawdry motoring show called Top Gear, and he's scarred all the road with rubber tyre marks. They're called donuts.
He did get permission to do it.
Well, did he or didn't he? We don't know.
Well, no, we do know.
We don't know.
He got permission from the council to do it.
Well, in some of the investigations I've checked up on tonight, nobody can actually pinpoint where exactly this permission was given. But for him to come here to this country...
hang on. He's not in charge of the show, though, is he?
He was the guy who did it.
Why are you giving it to him?
He was the guy who did it.
No, you're blaming the wrong guy.
No, don't contradict my losers.
Everybody else is blaming Chris Evans.
No, don't contradict my losers. He was the guy in the car. He's the man who scarred the road with rubber. He's the guy who roared around with smoke belching out. Right. And he was the one who George Osborne, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, actually shouted out the window and said, pack it in. Yeah. They're my 3 losers, OK? Right. I'll remind you again, the referee Martin Atkinson, appalling in the United West Ham game. Matt LeBlanc, the actor who desecrated the cenotaph, and Comrade Abramovich.
OK, well, those are your 3. My 3 are similar. Well, not really similar, but I'm going to say not Comrade Abramovich, as you so strangely call him.
Yep.
I'm saying Chelsea, because Chelsea have had a terrible year. You're quite right. I'm not sure whose fault it is. Nobody knows whose fault it is. Somebody's gone horribly wrong. And the final kind of nail in the coffin was put in rather aptly by Romelu Lukaku, who scored the 2 goals at the weekend and knocked them out. It's the same week they were knocked out of the FA Cup. They were knocked out of the Champions League by Paris Saint-Germain. And it's an absolute horror show. So I think rather than Abramovich being a loser, I think Chelsea are a loser. Now, I'm also going to have to say Arsene Wenger is a massive loser this weekend.
Yes.
As I said, he could have been one of 3 managers or one of 3 teams to have won the FA Cup 3 times in a row. He seems to be getting more and more grumpy as time goes on.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to recognise that there's something going pretty badly wrong at Arsenal.
Yes.
And it doesn't look like they're going to win the league either. So, in fact, Arsenal are going to have another poor season. And all they're going to do is once again get into the Champions League. They've got Barcelona coming up this week in the Champions League. Most people think they're going to get knocked out of that. So, an absolute nightmare for him as well. Yeah. And then finally, I'm going to put Angela Merkel in there because Angela Merkel has had a nightmare weekend, having seen most of her, an awful lot of votes being cast against her and the policies that she's been, parading around in Europe for such a long time.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of people don't like occasional political references, but I think Angela Merkel's time is beginning to be up. And I think, therefore, she is a massive loser this weekend. Let's have the winners.
Right, the winners.
Hang on.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
3 losers. You'll be able to vote for them very soon on the old Twitter account at the Two Mics.
Yes.
My first winner for the weekend is Dylan Hartley. You might remember at the beginning of the Six Nations, you said that Eddie Jones had made a terrible error by appointing Dylan Hartley the captain of England.
I said he'd bring trouble.
England have now won the Six Nations with a game to spare, and Dylan Hartley has proved himself to be totally rehabilitated. He hasn't been in any trouble. He hasn't got himself into any fights. He hasn't got himself into any punch-ups. He hasn't been banned for any reason. And
that's only 4 games, though.
They've already won the Six Nations.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but, you know.
They've already won it, and they'll have the chance to win the Triple Crown. Sorry, not the Triple Crown, the Grand Slam.
Yes.
For the first time in 13 years, if they go to France and beat France. And you'd think after Scotland beat them that could well happen. So I think that's a fantastic one. My second winner of the weekend is Ross County. You might remember I spoke about Ross County earlier because they got themselves into the Scottish League Cup final, right? And basically they've won it. They were playing Hibs, so you might expect them to win, but the balance of power for Ross County and for Inverness Caledonian Thistle, who won the Scottish Cup last summer, mean that 2 sort of major pieces of silverware are now in the Highlands of Scotland. And I think Ross County have done particularly well. It's the first thing they've won.
Didn't make a lot
years.
of headlines, did it?
Well, no, it doesn't make headlines necessarily down here, but it's a great achievement, and I think you should recognise it. And my final winner has to be Claudio Ranieri, a man who has got the ability to ensure that his Leicester team do not suffer the from the slings and arrows of being at the top of the league. Do not seem to be faltering. Didn't play particularly well last night, as he said, but got 3 points and are now still 5 points clear. 8 games to go. It'll be an incredible story. Some people are now beginning to say, I hope Leicester don't win it. But I think if they do, Claudio Ranieri is the man that's made it happen. So those are my 3 winners.
Yes, indeed. Right, OK. So my 3 winners are, right, number 1, excuse me, Gareth Barry.
Gareth Barry.
Gareth Barry.
How can he be a winner?
I'll tell you how he can be a winner. He could have plunged Diego Costa into penury by not commenting on whether or not Diego Costa bit him or not.
Yeah.
And the attitude of certain brand of footballer these days is to exaggerate everything. You know, I was clipped in the heel, I'm rolling round, I've broken my leg.
Yeah.
I was touched so briefly on the play, he slapped me in the face, I've gone down. Gareth Barry is a true professional. He made it clear in a statement after the game he was not bitten by Diego Costa. I think that is very honourable. Very honourable when he could have done the boy.
Yeah, but did he not make himself into a bit of an idiot later by getting sent off for no good reason?
It was a completely separate incident. On the actual incident involving Diego Costa, who clearly opened his mouth and went towards him, he could easily have fallen down, he could have went, ow, and pretended he'd been bitten, or he could have said afterwards he did bite me, but he didn't. He was very, very honourable.
Yeah.
My second is, and I've nominated this boy before, but he gets better and better, Maro Itoje, who is the England rugby player.
Yes.
The age of 21, he was man of the match again for England. Yeah. He's an outstanding young boy.
He's very good, isn't he?
Who is going to be he's going to be the world's greatest rugby player.
Well, I don't know about that.
He is. He's going to be the world's best. Honestly, I've not been of all time, but he's going to be the world's best of his generation. Another fabulous game for England. And the third one, and this is going to involve you and I on Friday, has to be Willie Mullins. Willie Mullins is bringing 60 horses to the Cheltenham Festival.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
60.
Yeah. There's only 5 races a day over 4 days, so he's got 3 horses in every race.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And it is feared by the bookmakers that even by the end of tomorrow afternoon, the first day, they could be deeply in debt to Mullins winning as many as 3 races on the first afternoon of the meeting.
All right. Well, don't look at me as if I'm supposed to be supporting you, because I'm not supporting you. We're against each other here.
I'm just saying. So my 3, Gareth Barry for being honourable, Maro Itoje for being the greatest rugby player of his generation, Willie Mullins because he's going to be the record ever winning trainer at a Cheltenham meeting, and we're going to be there on Friday.
Yeah, we certainly are. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to have to drag your carcass around because you're going to be so ill that you won't be able to do anything.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. Yeah. That was Winners and Losers. Go to @the2mics on Twitter, and you can vote now. Please try only to vote once, and try only to vote with one account. This is Talk Sport.
Get set to feel like a champion when we play Slice of the Action on TalkSport with Pizza Hut Delivery. Listen to Drive, Tuesday and Wednesday from 4, and you could be taking delivery of some fantastic prizes. Identify the mystery Slice of the Action clip for the chance to win a PS4 and the amazing Champions Bundle from Pizza Hut Delivery. Play Slice of the Action on TalkSport with Pizza Hut Delivery. Order the Champions Bundle now at pizzahut.co.uk for a chance to win a PS4 every day. Terms and conditions apply.
Bet on any Cheltenham Festival race with 5 or more runners online or on your mobile. And if your horse finishes second, William Hill give you your money back as a free bet. Get money back second online or on mobile with William Hill. Qualifying bets include win or each-way single bets placed day of race. Max refund £25 per customer per race. Free bet stake not included in winnings. T's and C's apply, over 18s only. When the fun stops, stop.
Download the TalkSport app now. Visit talksport.com/apps or your provider's app store to download today.
Way too easy.
And make sure you don't miss a thing.
Get the job done on TalkSport with Toolstation. Will Spain reign again?
And Spain are into the lead.
Are France in with a chance? Or will the Three Lions finally rule? As the International League prepare to go head-to-head to lift the biggest prize in European football, join Hawksby and Jacobs every Monday from 1 to find out which team can get the job done. You wait for Euro 2016 on TalkSport with Toolstation. Low prices on top trade brands. Open late 7 days a week. Find your nearest branch at toolstation.com.
Talk Sport.
He scores again!
The radio station with the extravagant lifestyle off the pitch.
100 grand a week. Keep a Fabergé egg on your dashboard.
Talk Sport.
Locker Kalite Coco. Locker Kalite Coco. Locker Kalite Coco. Locker Kalite Coco, or it's called.
Now, this is an interesting piece of information from Paul in Chatham, who's texted in. He says, Mike, Matt LeBlanc was not the driver. They should not have done it, but he wasn't driving. My mate shot the footage. How about that?
Well, I'm sorry, but all the reports say that it was Matt LeBlanc.
Well, all the reports are blaming Chris Evans because he's the executive producer, even though he's apparently saying he didn't know it was going on.
Yeah, well,
nobody really believes that.
Hang on, I don't usually get these things wrong.
Well, it may be that the reports are erroneous because you know how, like, for example, Chris Evans...
I saw pictures of Matt LeBlanc in the car with the crash helmet on.
Well, I've seen a picture of the car, but you know quite often that, if these guys are not such... Because the great thing about the Top Gear guys, Clarkson and the others, is that they were all able to drive cars in the way that they wanted to drive them.
Sure.
But I'm not sure Matt LeBlanc and Chris Evans are. Well, so I think they might have stunt drivers.
Well, OK, in that case, somebody's lying. This is a report from the incident. There was no, excuse me, there was no discussion between the BBC producers and hang on, let me finish, please.
Go on.
And Westminster City Council about wheel spins, and a donut and permission would not have been given to do it. Co-presenter and former Friends star Matt LeBlanc was snapped in a souped-up car doing spins near the Whitehall Memorial on Sunday.
Well, here's a report that says co-host Matt LeBlanc and driver Ken Block.
Right.
Which means that he wasn't the driver.
So Matt LeBlanc was in the car but wasn't driving?
That would seem to be the case.
Well, he's still responsible, then, for being in that car and desecrating Whitehall.
I think that puts your losers into a terrible tailspin.
No, it does not. He took part in...
I'm afraid so.
He took part in that stunt, and he's an American, and he came and desecrated Whitehall and the cenotaph, and that is unforgivable.
Yeah, but he wasn't driving.
I don't care if he's driving or not. He was in the car.
I think that's quite important.
And he's the second biggest star of Top Gear, and he told the guy what to do, OK?
Ian says, great winners, Porky, a player who got sent off and a bloke with lots of horses.
Well, I'm telling you, man, I'll tell you what, by the end of the week, Willie Mullins might be the biggest winner in the history of horse racing. So I think you will then praise me for my foresight.
Oh, right, okay.
And as for Gareth Barry literally brought back a bit of dignity and respect to the game of football.
He got red carded. James says this, Gareth Barry and the winners, oh dearie me, one of the worst, clumsiest and dirtiest players to play in the Premier League.
That's a disgraceful
Mike, couldn't
thing
you
to
have
say?
just put Parry in the losers?
No.
Saying he wouldn't cash out the 30 grand.
No.
Brooksy says this, totally agree with Porky about Martin Atkinson. The bloke is useless.
Yes.
A couple of seasons ago, Sunderland were playing Arsenal.
Yeah.
Jose Altidore was through on goal and fouled on the edge of the box.
Yes.
He stayed on his feet,
Yes.
and Atkinson let play go. He then went on to score, only for Atkinson to change his mind and bring play back for a free kick. But inexplicably, didn't send the defender off, as he said it wasn't a goal-scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
Now I've just heard he's in charge of the Tyne Weir Derby. I can see one of them almost being relegated due to one of his blunders.
I wonder whether he'll be suspended from that. I don't mean suspended. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on the man, but he...
What you mean, you might have it taken off him?
Well, when refs have very poor games like that, the authorities now are quite strict, and they do say, look, I'm going to stand him down or something like that. I'm not trying to make the guy's life difficult, but he...
Well, it doesn't sound like it, no.
No, but he had an appalling game. I mean...
Well, it does happen from time to time.
My nomination was based on a top-level report from, one of the classic referees.
Is that right?
Of his age, and that's
top
Graham
level.
Pole.
Yeah, there's only top-level reports in your world,
Graham
isn't there?
Pole says Martin Atkinson made too many mistakes for a referee of his standing. After a dull first half, United should have been awarded a penalty. Winston Reid handled a shot inside the area. Reid could well have been dismissed had that been given. Minutes later, West Ham were denied a penalty when Dimitri Payet was tripped by Marcus Royo, and he says, and so it went on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's Payet and Rojo, by the way.
So I thought that was a pretty good nomination,
Martin
really,
says,
all in all.
I don't want to be pedantic, but there's 7 races a day at Cheltenham, not 5.
7, that's right, absolutely.
You said it was 5.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
I said up to 5. I said 5, at least 5.
Up to 5. This is like the Raheem Sterling conversation.
At least 5.
How many goals are you going to score this season?
Well, I don't know yet. How do I?
But you said he wouldn't score 5.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he gets 6, then I've got the moral high ground on that one, I'm telling you.
John says MG's on a roll. It should be a landslide win this week.
Don't be ridiculous. 4-7 to 28. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 28. What's your problem?
What? How does your mind work?
Hang on.
4-7 to 28, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
That's 4 days. At times 7 is 28.
Yeah.
28.
So what are you trying
He's got 60 horses. He's got 2 horses on average in every race. More than 2 horses.
3. More than 2?
More than 2.
What, 2.5?
No, more than 2, but not 3.
Well, how can you have more than 2 horses and not 3?
Excuse me. Because 28 60ths is more than 2. That's why, you idiot.
You can only have 2 or 3.
Well,
you can't cut the horse up, can you?
No, but you can average it out, can't you? It's like people used to say about, the average family, mum, dad, and 2.4 children. You see what I mean? Same sort of thing.
Yeah, all right. 2.4 horses and a Volvo.
Yeah.
Porky, you planked. There are 7 races a day at Cheltenham. Get your facts right. Says Duncan. MG wins for me.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Well,
now then, I want to talk
do you
about...
Do you want an early shout on the voting?
Yes, please.
It's 61-39 to me.
No, rubbish.
It is.
Don't be ridiculous.
It is.
That's
83 votes cast.
That's a complete imbalance. We'll soon get that back to
when you say we'll
reality.
soon get that back, what do you mean?
My followers and I.
Oh, what? You mean the Porky tribe?
Yeah, that's
all
right.
the fake accountants?
No. We'll soon get that back.
Right.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, considering you got the number of races at Cheltenham wrong,
Excuse me, no, I didn't.
you got the wrong driver in the Cenotaph episode, and you nominated a guy with a lot of horses and a guy who got sent off. I'm not sure.
No, not at all.
I'm not sure.
Now then, listen, do you have... you travel on the tube a lot, yeah?
I don't as much as I used to, because I used to travel on the tube in and out of work.
Do you know...
But I have been on the tube in the last few days.
Excuse me.
I wouldn't get on the tube with that cough, by the way.
You know, we have talked in the past about the tissue sellers.
Yeah, on the trains.
Yeah. I found out something about them.
Have you?
They're actually part of the Russian mafia.
What?
Yeah, they're not beggars.
Aren't they?
No. They're part of they're a bit like the allegedly...
I thought you said they were all Romanians the last time you
the alleged gangs of Romanian beggars and all this kind of stuff, but apparently they're run by Russian gangs.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Potential links
they're not
between...
on the tube, though. You said they were on the trains.
Yeah, on the trains. Yeah, they go on tubes as well.
Well, I've never seen anyone with tissues on a tube.
Yeah, they put them on the seats on tubes. I've seen them do that. No, they do.
I've never seen them do that.
I have.
The last time you were on the tube?
Thursday.
Really?
Yeah. It says, right... police investigating potential links between organised crime gangs and the tissue beggars from Eastern Europe operating in a large swathe of the UK rail network. Some unsuspecting passengers are giving the beggars £10 for a small packet of tissues.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Because they believe they are genuinely impoverished and trying to support young children.
There's nothing worse than the gullible British for giving money to charities.
I agree.
Absolute nonsense. Have you seen this other story, by the way, about pigeons?
No.
Well, we haven't got a terribly long time, so I'm going to be very brief with this. But did you know that pigeons are now being recruited to check levels of air pollution in London?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Apparently yesterday, a flock of half a dozen racing pigeons was set loose from a rooftop in Brick Lane by a pigeon fancier called Brian Woodhouse.
Yeah.
One of them's got a pollution sensor strapped to its back with a GPS tracker on it, right? And basically, what they're going to do is they're going to follow this pigeon around.
Yes.
And when the 25-gram sensor records nitrogen dioxide produced by the city's cars, buses and trucks, it tweets it at anyone asking for a reading. Isn't that interesting?
It is. But it doesn't sound. I mean, must be all sorts of problems with that.
Why?
Well,
it's got this device on its back, right?
Yes.
Now, if somebody asks it to tweet out what the reading is at any particular time, the GPS will tell them where the pigeon is, and the
Yeah,
pigeon
but that's what I'm
will
saying.
reveal what the level of pollution
That's
is.
what I'm saying.
At that particular point.
That's what I'm saying. What I think is the fault in. Excuse me. Yeah, in all of that.
I think I'm just going to take you outside and shoot you.
No, in all of that is that the pigeons fly randomly. They don't fly in the way you want where you want them to go.
No, but the point is, wherever they are flying, the GPS tracker will let you know where they are.
Yeah.
So they will be flying around central London.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
I think it's a bit of a sort of.
They've already done
nonsense.
it, apparently, in Stockton-on-Tees and in Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Where they've managed to reach, they've got very big high pollution level readings up there.
Where?
Stockton-on-Tees and Middlesbrough.
Yeah, well, that's because of the petrochemical industries. That's,
well, it may be.
That's on the.
It may be. I just thought you'd be, it'd be something that you would need to know about because you've often
Yeah.
talked about how clever pigeons are.
Oh, yes.
And the magnetic brain capability and all
Yeah,
that
well,
sort
they
of
do
thing.
have magnetic brain capability.
So they're actually now being employed. So
that's
this is a
why
bit
they're
like,
going to transplant pigeons' brains into soldiers eventually.
So this is a bit like the dolphin, the dolphin military combination.
Well, I suppose there's a bit, but
they're now doing something for the pollution problems of London.
Strikes me it's going to be so random. You know what I mean? That the pigeons fly wherever they want to fly. They don't fly in the area in the direction that scientists want them to fly in. So
well, no, I think the point is they fly just around the city. And
sounds
that's the
like
point.
a bit of a loser, that one, to me, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
Scottish Craig says, very poor losers, MG. Porky's winners suck. Tough decision, so no vote.
What?
If you need a tie-break vote, I'll ring and vote in the morning.
I thought mine were brilliant, actually. Absolutely brilliant.
He says he might purchase tickets for the tour.
For the the tour?
Only
Yeah, okay,
20
yeah.
sheets.
Yeah.
Fair price, he says.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, 20 quid.
20
for,
sheets.
For sheets, yeah, that's right. By the way, that's coming up quite soon.
What?
That is 3 weeks on Saturday.
The Dance House.
Dance House, Manchester. Yeah. Tickets going fast, kids, by the way. But please, if you want to...
it's a big theatre, though, so there's a few left, isn't there?
There are not that many. They have gone much faster than the promoters thought they would go.
Oh, yeah?
So if you want to get in there, please do, because we'd love to see you.
Excellent. And then we're in Cardiff.
Cardiff.
And then we're in Dingwalls in London in
Dingwalls.
June.
And then
there's going to be some more to be announced.
More to be announced, definitely. Yep,
Okay.
Yep. No problem at all.
Now, is there anything else you want to tell me quickly before the end of the show? Because we are very, very near it. Do you want to have a go at what the quiz should be, or are you not really capable? Perhaps we should have a quiz on tuberculosis.
No,
I think you might have TB.
No, I haven't got TB. I've
You
just
might
got a bad
you
cold.
might have caught it off one of those, as those people you referred to, the filthy beggars.
I've never said anything like that. I've never described people as that.
Yes, you have. In fact, Derek in Pinkyde reminded us earlier of what you said on Friday.
Oh, what?
He said basically that if you were going to be man of the people, you shouldn't refer to, where is it here? You shouldn't refer to homeless people as dirty and smelly, like you did last Friday. What are you doing now?
No, Why
are you throwing stuff away?
No, I'm not.
The show's still going on.
No, and I'm trying to sort my head out. Don't worry.
It's going to take a while. You're going to take you more than a minute and a half.
No, I'm going to have to leave very rapidly tonight.
I
to
think
get
you
home
should.
Because
I'm not even sure you should be driving,
I'm
to be
not
honest.
feeling that well, to be honest.
I'm not sure you should be driving. You can't concentrate.
I definitely I didn't take any of that Benylin stuff.
Benylin?
Because it makes you fall asleep at the
You
wheel.
used to drink a lot of that when you were at Express.
What?
I remember you got quite a reputation for it.
What?
Benylin.
Benylin?
Benylin, yeah.
Are you mad?
A couple of your former colleagues described to me once how you went completely gaga on Benylin.
I've never drunk Benylin in my
Yeah,
life.
you did when you had a bad cold. You used to just drink it straight out of the bottle, and you drank it one particular day repeatedly. I've been told this by several people, right? Who all of whose opinion I trust.
I think you're crazy. I think
they said you went mad by the time you went to afternoon conference. You were starting to hallucinate.
Rubbish.
You were.
It seems to me a lot of people told you a lot of nonsense about me after I moved on and you were still at the Express. What a load of drivel. Utter drivel.
That's not drivel.
Drivel.
Are you denying that you drank levels of Benylin which were injurious to your brain?
I can never remember even taking a spoonful of Benylin. In fact, I don't even know what Benylin is.
You just said you haven't taken any.
No, that's right.
So why would you not take it if you don't know what it is?
Well, because it's just a word I know, but I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah?
It's a word you know, but you don't know what it is.
No, I don't.
No wonder the bloke in the chemist had no idea what you're talking about.
I don't want to know what it is.
It's a word I know, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, this is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes.
Look at the light! Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the Two Mikes. We have found more than 3,400 new species.
Of what?
What?
Of what?
What? Well, of things. Now, I'm not saying Italian people are dishonest.
If you love the Two Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
I like pizza.
Shut up with your face.